In the soft continuity of life, the human body is a masterpiece of constant renewal. Every heartbeat, every breath, every pulse of warmth through the skin is evidence of an intricate system that sustains itself quietly and efficiently. Beneath that calm surface, billions of cells are at work repairing, replicating, communicating. The body is both fragile and resilient, a structure capable of astonishing endurance, yet vulnerable to the slow wearing of time and the sudden disruptions of disease or injury. When this living harmony falters, it is biomedicine, the union of biology and medicine, that steps forward to guide the process of repair. Biomedicine is the study of life applied to healing. It is an attempt not merely to treat symptoms, but to understand the very foundation of what it means to live and to mend. In every cell of the human body lies a complex conversation between molecules, an ongoing dialogue that maintains balance and vitality. Biomedicine listens to that conversation, learns its language, and uses that knowledge to intervene when something goes wrong. It is the scientific art of aligning with nature's own design. For much of human history, the mysteries of the body were shrouded in uncertainty. Ancient physicians observed the pulse and breath, but they could not see the invisible world beneath the skin. Healing was guided by instinct, faith, and the limited understanding of the time. Herbal remedies soothed pain. Rituals sought to restore balance. Yet without knowledge of the hidden architecture within, even the most skilled healers worked largely in darkness. It was only when science began to peer closer through glass lenses, chemical analysis, and careful experimentation that the body revealed its secrets. The invention of the microscope opened that invisible world. Suddenly, what had been abstract became tangible. Cells, those unseen architects of life, appeared under the lens tiny, self-contained worlds, each performing a role within the larger organism. This discovery reshaped medicine. No longer was the body viewed as a mysterious vessel influenced solely by unseen forces. It became a living system governed by physical laws and biological patterns. The study of these patterns marked the birth of biomedicine, the moment when observation met understanding. Biomedicine begins with one simple truth. The body is made to heal itself. Every scrape on the skin, every broken bone, every viral infection triggers an internal cascade of repair. White blood cells rush to defend. Platelets form barriers. Even the smallest cut is a testament to the body's regenerative power. Yet, sometimes these natural mechanisms falter. Disease, age, or environmental harm may overwhelm them. Biomedicine does not replace this healing process. Instead, it learns from it. It studies the ways cells communicate, how tissues rebuild, how organs coordinate, and then finds ways to support and enhance these processes when they fail. Think of the body as a vast landscape of cooperation. Each cell contributes its part: a muscle cell contracting, a neuron firing, a liver cell filtering the blood. When harmony is lost, illness begins. Biomedicine, in turn, acts like a quiet architect, gently restoring balance through the principles of biology. Antibiotics, for example, are not simply weapons against infection. They are precise molecular tools designed to disrupt harmful bacterial processes while leaving human cells unharmed. Vaccines, too, embody the same philosophy, teaching the immune system to recognize a threat before it ever appears, transforming vulnerability into preparedness. As biomedicine has grown, its scope has expanded far beyond the treatment of disease. It now includes prevention, regeneration, and even the design of new biological structures. The merging of biology with technology has led to prosthetics that respond to neural signals, artificial organs that mimic their natural counterparts, and genetic therapies capable of correcting inherited errors in the body's code. Each advancement represents a deeper dialogue with the mechanisms of life, a gradual refinement of our ability to work in harmony with nature's design rather than against it. Central to this field is the concept of the cell, the smallest unit of life. Within every cell are intricate pathways, a constant flow of information and energy that sustains the body's rhythm. Biomedicine explores these pathways with care, identifying where they falter and how they might be repaired. A malfunction in one gene can lead to cascading effects across tissues and systems. Understanding that single error can illuminate the cause of entire diseases. By decoding these microscopic stories, scientists craft treatments that target the root rather than the surface of illness. The reach of biomedicine is profound. It touches nearly every aspect of modern healthcare, from the synthesis of new pharmaceuticals to the cultivation of artificial tissues. It informs surgical techniques, rehabilitation practices, and public health strategies. And at the deepest level, it asks a timeless question: how does life sustain itself, and how can we help it endure? The answers unfold not in haste but in gentle, deliberate steps, as researchers study the interplay between molecules and cells, tissues and organs, until a pattern of understanding emerges. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of biomedicine lies in its humility. Though armed with powerful technologies, its purpose remains deeply human: to reduce suffering, to restore movement, to extend vitality. It is the quiet merging of science and compassion. A biomedical engineer designing an artificial limb studies not only the mechanics of motion, but the sensation of touch, the emotional weight of restoration. A geneticist exploring therapies for rare diseases sees not just sequences of DNA, but the lives intertwined with those codes. In every discovery, there is a trace of empathy, a recognition that science exists to serve the living. As the field continues to evolve, biomedicine becomes increasingly intertwined with the idea of precision. Treatments are no longer designed for the average patient but tailored to the individual, shaped by unique genetic and molecular profiles. This shift, known as personalized medicine, transforms the way we think about health. It acknowledges that each human body is distinct, a singular constellation of genes, environment, and experience, and that healing must honor that individuality. In this way, biomedicine mirrors nature's own adaptability, adjusting gently to the needs of each person it touches. Yet, beyond its technological marvels, the true power of biomedicine lies in its quiet respect for life itself. It recognizes that every cell carries the memory of evolution, every heartbeat the legacy of countless generations of survival. To repair the body, science must first listen to the rhythm of molecules, the whisper of tissues, the subtle cues that mark the difference between health and disease. In doing so, biomedicine becomes more than a discipline. It becomes an act of reverence, a partnership between knowledge and nature. As the night deepens and the body begins its nightly restoration, it is worth remembering that the same principles guiding your sleep renewal, balance, and gentle repair are mirrored in the science that sustains you. Biomedicine does not fight against the body. It learns from it, collaborates with it, and honors its wisdom. Every new therapy, every discovery, every restored heartbeat is a quiet reminder that healing is not merely a goal of science, it is its most human expression. And so, the art of healing through science continues, softly, patiently, endlessly, one cell at a time, one life at a time, guided always by the same quiet purpose: to understand life deeply, enough to help it endure. 2. The cellular foundation of repair. Every act of healing begins at a level far smaller than the eye can see. Beneath the skin, in the quiet interior of our tissues, the story of recovery is written in the language of cells. These microscopic units are the body's architects, laborers, and caretakers. They build the tissues that give structure to the body, maintain its balance, and restore what has been damaged. To understand how science repairs the human body, one must first understand how cells themselves sustain and mend it. Biomedicine begins here, at the level where life itself resides, in the subtle hum of cellular activity that never truly ceases. Each cell is a self-contained world. Within its delicate membrane lies a landscape of organelles, proteins, and genetic material, all engaged in an intricate choreography. Mitochondria generate energy, converting nutrients into the chemical currency of life. The nucleus, holding the genome, quietly instructs every process, from cell division to repair. Ribosomes build proteins with exquisite precision, while the endoplasmic reticulum folds and refines them for use. Together, these components maintain the balance we call health. When harmony within the cell is disturbed by injury, infection, or the simple wear of time, repair begins from within. The body's ability to heal depends on this cellular intelligence. When a cut appears on the skin, cells at the edge of the wound sense the disruption. They release chemical signals, cytokines, and growth factors, calling nearby cells to action. Platelets form a temporary barrier, halting blood loss. Soon, fibroblasts migrate into the area, weaving a delicate framework of collagen that forms the foundation for new tissue. Capillaries sprout like tiny roots, carrying oxygen to nourish the rebuilding process. Finally, epithelial cells glide across the wound's surface, sealing it from the world once more. All of this occurs without conscious command, an automatic symphony directed by the silent wisdom of cellular communication. Biomedicine studies these natural processes with deep fascination, seeking to enhance them when they falter. At the heart of this effort lies the study of stem cells, the body's versatile repair units. Unlike most cells, which are specialized and limited in what they can become, stem cells retain the potential to transform into nearly any tissue type. In the developing embryo, they give rise to every organ and structure. In adults, smaller populations remain hidden in the bone marrow, muscles, skin, and other tissues, quietly standing by until they are needed for repair. When damage occurs, these cells awaken, divide, and replace the lost or injured ones. The discovery of stem cells reshaped our understanding of regeneration. In laboratories around the world, scientists have learned to coax these cells into becoming heart muscle, nerve cells, or insulin-producing pancreatic tissue. The process is delicate, requiring precise cues, chemical signals, environmental conditions, and sometimes the guidance of three-dimensional scaffolds that mimic the architecture of natural tissue. These engineered cells have been used to restore blood after chemotherapy, to replace damaged corneas, and to study diseases that once remained inaccessible. Each application is a reflection of nature's own logic, that life repairs itself by rebuilding from its smallest, most adaptable parts. Inside the human body, the rate of cellular turnover varies enormously. Some cells, like those lining the intestine, renew themselves every few days. Others, such as neurons in the brain, may last a lifetime. The skin replaces itself in a slow but steady cycle, shedding old cells as new ones emerge from below. Even bones, seemingly solid and static, are in constant flux, a process called remodeling, in which old bone tissue is resorbed and new bone is laid down. Through this ongoing renewal, the body maintains its strength and resilience. Disease often arises when these cellular processes fall out of balance, when division exceeds control, leading to tumors, or when repair fails, leading to degeneration. Biomedicine works to restore equilibrium to these cycles. One of its guiding principles is the understanding of cell, signaling the way cells communicate with one another. This is accomplished through a vast network of molecular messengers that transmit information across tissues. Hormones, neurotransmitters, and growth factors act as signals, binding to receptors on cell surfaces and triggering responses inside. These signals can tell a cell to divide, to migrate, to self-destruct, or to remain at rest. When this communication is disrupted, the result can be disease. Cancer, for example, is often the consequence of a cell that has stopped listening to the body's instructions. Instead of ceasing division, it continues multiplying without restraint. By studying these pathways, researchers have learned to design therapies that gently restore the conversation, re-establishing the body's internal order. Among the most profound developments in recent biomedical research is the use of cellular reprogramming, the ability to turn mature cells back into stem-like ones. This breakthrough, achieved through the introduction of a few key genes, effectively rewinds the cell's internal clock. It allows scientists to create patient-specific stem cells that can be used to study genetic disorders or even to grow compatible tissues for transplantation. A skin cell, for instance, can be guided backward into a stem cell and then forward again into a beating heart cell. The process may sound almost poetic, but it is grounded in rigorous molecular science, a delicate manipulation of the very code that defines identity at the cellular level. Each discovery in cellular repair carries echoes of the same idea: what already exists within. When biomedical researchers study how cells move, divide, and differentiate, they are not imposing something foreign upon the body. Rather, they are collaborating with its natural intelligence. A damaged nerve can be encouraged to regrow if given the right molecular cues. A failing heart can be strengthened by injecting cells that know how to contract in unison. Even chronic wounds that resist healing can be coaxed into repair by reintroducing growth factors that remind the cells what they were designed to do. Of course, not every system in the body is equally capable of renewal. The nervous system, for instance, has long been considered resistant to repair. Unlike skin or bone, neurons do not readily divide once they are mature. When they are lost, they are seldom replaced. Yet even here, biomedicine has found quiet hope. Within the hippocampus and the olfactory bulb, two regions of the brain researchers have discovered small reservoirs of neural stem cells. These cells can generate new neurons under the right conditions. Encouraging their growth may one day help the brain recover from trauma, stroke, or degenerative disease. Though the pace of progress is slow, it moves steadily, guided by the same patience found in nature itself. Every cell's ability to repair depends not only on its own machinery, but also on the environment that surrounds it. This environment, known as the extracellular matrix, provides both physical structure and biochemical signals. It is a delicate web of proteins and sugars, constantly remodeled to support growth and stability. When tissue is injured, the matrix breaks down and then rebuilds, guiding cells to the site of damage. Biomedical scientists have learned to replicate this matrix using biocompatible materials, creating scaffolds that support cell growth in the laboratory. These scaffolds, when implanted, can merge with the body's tissues, serving as bridges for healing. A quiet example of science imitating nature's craftsmanship. The beauty of cellular repair lies in its subtlety. There is no single command center issuing orders, no hierarchy dictating every action. Instead, there is cooperation, countless small exchanges of energy and information, each contributing to the whole. This decentralized intelligence allows the body to respond flexibly to countless challenges. It is the same adaptability that biomedicine seeks to understand and enhance. By studying the minute details of cellular behavior, researchers unlock principles that can be applied across scales, from regenerating a single tissue to restoring an entire organ system. In the stillness of the night, as the body rests and restores itself, these cellular processes continue their quiet work. Cells divide in measured rhythm. DNA repairs itself. Proteins fold and refold into their proper forms. The body, seemingly at rest, is in fact engaged in constant renewal. Biomedicine mirrors this rhythm. It observes, learns, and assists, never rushing the process, but aligning itself with the pace of life. In the grand design of the human body, healing is not an event, but a perpetual state of motion, a balance between decay and creation. Every cell carries within it the potential for repair, a spark of resilience that has been shaped by billions of years of evolution. Biomedicine honors this inheritance. Its role is not to dominate or replace nature, but to understand it deeply enough to guide it back to harmony when balance is lost. In each wound that closes, each tissue that regenerates, and each patient that recovers, there is the quiet affirmation of a profound truth, that life is designed to endure, and through the careful study of its smallest parts, science learns to help it endure even more gracefully. 3. The language of molecules. Deep within every living cell, an invisible dialogue is taking place, a constant exchange of signals between molecules that governs every thought, movement, and breath. This molecular language is the foundation of biomedicine, for it is here that the instructions of life are written and interpreted. Each heartbeat, each impulse of the nervous system, and each breath drawn in sleep are not isolated events, but expressions of a vast biochemical conversation. The molecules of the body speak to one another with precision and purpose, their messages carried through the delicate mediums of fluid, membrane, and energy. To repair the human body, science must first learn to listen to this molecular speech, to understand the vocabulary of atoms and the grammar of reactions that together sustain life. At its simplest level, the human body is built from a handful of elemental components. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen form the scaffolding of nearly every biological structure. Joined by traces of phosphorus, sulfur, and a collection of metals, these elements assemble into the countless molecules that make life possible. Some serve as the architecture of the cell lipids, forming flexible membranes, proteins creating strong filaments and enzymes. Others act as messengers, carrying signals that direct behavior, growth, and repair. Still others serve as energy carriers, such as adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, which fuels nearly every cellular function. Together, they create a complex but ordered symphony in which each molecule plays its part with quiet precision. Within this harmony, proteins are the primary instruments of action. Composed of long chains of amino acids, they fold into intricate three-dimensional shapes, each perfectly suited to its role. Some act as enzymes, speeding up the countless chemical reactions that sustain life. Others serve as receptors, embedded within cell membranes to detect hormones, nutrients, or external stimuli. The shape of a protein determines its function, a lock designed for a specific key. When the right molecule binds, the protein changes shape, slightly, setting off a cascade of events inside the cell. This is the essence of molecular communication: structure leading to signal, signal leading to response. The understanding of this principle has shaped much of modern medicine. When a drug is developed, it is often designed to mimic or block a natural molecule within the body. A pain reliever, for example, might bind to the same receptors as the body's own endorphins, silencing pain signals that travel through the nervous system. An antihistamine occupies the receptor normally triggered by histamine, calming allergic inflammation. In each case, the medicine is not forcing the body to behave unnaturally. It is participating in its molecular conversation, gently redirecting it toward balance. Among the most elegant of these biochemical interactions are those carried out by enzymes, molecular catalysts, that make life's reactions proceed with astonishing speed and accuracy. Without them, even simple tasks, like digesting food or repairing DNA, would take far longer than the span of life allows. Enzymes lower the energy required for chemical transformations, guiding molecules into reactions that would otherwise be improbable. Each enzyme is highly specific, recognizing only certain substrates and performing only certain reactions. It is as though the enzyme speaks a dialect understood by only a few molecules, ensuring that the right reactions happen at the right time. When enzymes are damaged or missing due to genetic mutations, the consequences can be profound. leading to diseases that stem from a single disrupted sentence in the molecular dialogue. To restore that communication, biomedicine often turns to replacement or correction. Enzyme replacement therapy, for instance, provides the missing catalyst so that the reaction can continue. In other cases, gene therapy introduces a healthy copy of the gene responsible for producing the enzyme, allowing the cell to resume normal function. These interventions are not foreign intrusions but translations, ways of teaching the body to speak its own language again after it has momentarily forgotten the words. Hormones form another essential part of the body's biochemical vocabulary. Produced by glands and released into the bloodstream, they act as messengers between distant organs. A single molecule of insulin, released from the pancreas, can signal cells throughout the body to absorb glucose, regulating energy use. Adrenaline, secreted during stress, instructs the heart to beat faster, the lungs to expand, and the blood vessels to adjust. These hormones travel through the body's internal currents like notes carried on the wind, subtle but powerful in effect. When their balance is disturbed too much, too little, or in the wrong place, health falters. Biomedicine seeks to restore harmony through understanding and adjustment, sometimes supplementing what is missing, sometimes dampening what is excessive. Neurotransmitters perform a similar role within the nervous system. These tiny chemical signals cross the gaps between neurons, transmitting information that drives sensation, thought, and motion. Molecules like dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine shape not only physical responses but also mood, focus, and memory. Each molecule fits its receptor like a precisely carved key, opening channels through which electrical impulses continue their journey. When neurotransmitter levels shift, the balance of emotion and perception shifts with them. Biomedical research into these molecular exchanges has illuminated the biological roots of mental health, leading to treatments that ease depression, anxiety, and neurological disease by restoring the chemical rhythm of the brain. At the heart of all these processes lies the molecule that carries life's ultimate instructions, deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA. Its double helix structure, elegant and unchanging, encodes the sequences that determine every protein, every trait, and every function within the cell. When a cell divides, its DNA is copied with remarkable accuracy, ensuring that each daughter cell inherits the same blueprint. Yet even this precision is not absolute. Occasionally, a base pair is misread or replaced a mutation that can alter the meaning of the genetic message. Some mutations are harmless, even beneficial, giving rise to new traits. Others disrupt critical instructions, leading to disease. The study of how these molecular variations translate into health or illness forms the foundation of molecular medicine. By reading and decoding this genetic script, scientists have learned to intervene at its source. Technologies such as CRISPR allow for the precise editing of DNA, enabling the correction of inherited errors that once seemed beyond reach. Through this work, medicine has moved from treating symptoms to addressing causes, altering the very molecules that give rise to disease. Yet these interventions, for all their power, remain grounded in humility, an acknowledgement that to change even a single sequence is to touch the heart of life's design. Another layer of molecular communication occurs in the form of cell signaling pathways, intricate networks that connect the cell's surface to its interior. When a hormone or growth factor binds to a receptor, it sets off a series of chemical reactions inside the cell, often involving cascades of phosphorylation, where one protein activates another in a chain of events. These pathways can amplify a signal from a single molecule into a large-scale cellular response. They govern growth, metabolism, immunity, and repair. Errors in these pathways can lead to uncontrolled cell division, metabolic dysfunction, or immune disorders. Understanding them allows researchers to design therapies that intervene with precision, not by overwhelming the system, but by nudging it back toward equilibrium. Even at the smallest scales, the body's molecular systems demonstrate cooperation and restraint. A single cell can contain thousands of simultaneous reactions, yet each remains in balance through feedback loops. When a product accumulates, it signals the cell to slow its production. When resources run low, new pathways open to compensate. This dynamic equilibrium, known as homeostasis, defines the living state. It is the same principle that governs heart rate, temperature, and blood chemistry, expressed at the molecular level with exquisite grace. Biomedicine's relationship with these molecules is one of partnership. Every drug, every therapy, every diagnostic test arises from the recognition that health is the result of molecular harmony. Scientists spend years mapping these reactions, identifying the small shifts that distinguish wellness from disease. When an imbalance is found, the goal is not to overpower it, but to restore communication. A medicine might block an overactive enzyme, supplement a missing hormone, or mimic a signaling molecule that has fallen silent. In each case, the intervention succeeds, not through force, but through fluency, an understanding of the body's native language. To listen to this molecular dialogue is to witness the poetry of biology. Each atom connects with another in patterns that have evolved over billions of years, shaping the rhythms of every living thing. In this ongoing conversation, life and science meet. The molecules whisper their secrets through reactions and bonds, and biomedicine listens patiently, translating their patterns into healing. The repair of the human body, then, is not a battle against nature, but a dialogue with it, a slow, thoughtful exchange conducted in the quiet language of molecules. In the end, this is what biomedicine truly represents: the art of listening deeply to life itself. Every therapy begins with the recognition that beneath all symptoms, beneath all tissues, there is a conversation waiting to be understood. The body speaks through chemistry, and science, in turn, learns to respond with empathy and precision. It is in this dialogue, this subtle, ceaseless exchange of molecular messages, that the essence of healing resides. And as the body rests, its molecules continue to speak softly among themselves, maintaining the delicate balance that keeps life in motion, cell by cell, moment by moment, in an endless conversation of repair. 4. Genetic medicine and the blueprint of life. Hidden within every cell of the human body lies a microscopic archive, an elegant spiral of information that holds the instructions for life itself. This archive, written in the language of nucleotides, is known as DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. It is a molecule of astonishing precision and simplicity, composed of only 4 chemical bases: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Yet from these 4 letters, in countless combinations, arises the full complexity of a human being. Each strand of DNA carries the code that determines not only our physical form, but also the functioning of every cell, every organ, and every system that sustains us. To understand the body's capacity for repair, biomedicine turns to this molecular manuscript, seeking to read, interpret, and sometimes gently rewrite the blueprint of life. The study of genetics reveals that within our cells, information is not stored in isolation, but organized into discrete segments, known as genes. Each gene serves as a set of instructions for building a specific protein, a molecule that performs a particular task within the cell, catalyzing reactions, transporting oxygen, transmitting signals, or providing structural support. When all goes well, this genetic system operates with remarkable reliability, ensuring that the right proteins are made at the right time. But when a gene contains an error, a misplaced letter, a missing section, or an unwanted duplication, the resulting protein may be defective or absent altogether. In this way, a single genetic change can ripple outward to affect tissues, organs, and ultimately the entire organism. Genetic medicine seeks to understand and correct these errors, transforming the way we think about disease and healing. For centuries, illness was understood primarily through its symptoms, the pain it caused, the damage it produced, the ways it altered the body's visible form. With the rise of molecular biology in the 20th century, medicine gained the ability to look deeper, to trace a disease not to an organ or a tissue, but to a single point within the genome. The discovery of DNA's double helix structure by James Watson and Francis Crick in 1953 marked the beginning of a new era. Suddenly, life itself appeared as a kind of text, one that could be read, decoded, and perhaps even edited. Over time, scientists learned to map this text, to identify the genes responsible for both health and illness. The completion of the Human Genome Project in 2003 offered the first comprehensive catalog of the body's genetic instructions, a reference that continues to shape every corner of biomedical research today. Genetic medicine rests on a simple but profound realization that to treat disease effectively, one must address its origin at the level of DNA. If an error in the code leads to illness, then correcting or compensating for that error can restore balance. The most direct form of this approach is gene therapy, in which a functional copy of a faulty gene is delivered into the patient's cells. This can be done using viral vectors, harmless viruses that act as couriers, carrying new genetic material into target cells. Once inside, the healthy gene begins to produce the protein that was missing or defective, allowing the body's normal processes to resume. Early successes in treating rare inherited disorders, such as certain forms of immune deficiency and blindness, have demonstrated the power of this method. Though challenges remain, each step forward brings medicine closer to a time when genetic diseases may be not only managed but truly cured. Beyond direct replacement, biomedicine has also developed subtler ways of influencing the genome. One of the most revolutionary discoveries in recent decades is the CRISPR-Cas9 system, a molecular tool derived from the natural defense mechanisms of bacteria. CRISPR acts like a pair of precise molecular scissors, guided by a small piece of RNA that directs it to a specific location within the DNA sequence. Once there, it can cut the strand, remove or insert genetic material, and allow the cell's natural repair systems to rejoin the DNA. This technique makes it possible to edit genes with unprecedented accuracy. In laboratories across the world, CRISPR is being used to study genetic disorders, create animal models for research, and explore the possibility of correcting mutations directly within the human body. Though still in its early stages, the potential of this technology is vast, not only for treating disease, but for deepening our understanding of life's most fundamental processes. Yet genetic medicine is not limited to intervention. Much of its power lies in prediction and prevention. By examining a person's genome, scientists can identify variations known as polymorphisms that may increase the risk of certain conditions, heart disease, diabetes, or cancer, for example. This field, known as genomic medicine, allows for personalized strategies of care. A patient with a known genetic predisposition might receive more frequent screenings, specific lifestyle recommendations, or targeted therapies designed to counteract the molecular weakness revealed by their DNA. In this way, medicine becomes not only reactive but proactive, shifting from the treatment of illness to the maintenance of health. Genetic testing has already become a quiet revolution in modern medicine. It can confirm diagnoses, guide treatment choices, and reveal inherited risks long before symptoms appear. For families affected by rare genetic disorders, it provides clarity and sometimes hope, showing the path toward experimental therapies or preventive care. But this knowledge carries weight. To read one's genome is to see both possibility and limitation, to confront not only the strengths encoded by evolution, but the vulnerabilities that accompany them. Biomedicine, in its gentlest form, recognizes this complexity, that to understand our genetic blueprint is not merely to seek control over it, but to approach it with respect, as one would an ancient text written in a language still partly unknown. In recent years, the study of genetics has expanded beyond the DNA itself to the realm of epigenetics, the layer of regulation that determines how and when genes are expressed. While the DNA sequence provides the script, epigenetic markers act as punctuation, emphasizing certain lines while silencing others. These chemical modifications can be influenced by environment, diet, stress, and behavior, meaning that our experiences leave subtle molecular traces upon the genome. In this way, the story of life is not static, but dynamic, shaped continually by the interplay between inheritance and experience. Understanding this relationship opens new doors for medicine. Therapies that adjust epigenetic marks could one day reverse disease processes without altering the DNA sequence, offering a softer approach to healing, one that honors the body's natural adaptability. The implications of genetic medicine reach into nearly every branch of health science. In oncology, the genetic profiling of tumors allows physicians to select treatments tailored to the specific mutations driving a cancer's growth. In cardiology, genetic screening can reveal hidden risks for heart failure or arrhythmia, guiding preventive care. In infectious disease, genomic sequencing enables scientists to track the evolution of viruses and design vaccines that anticipate their mutations. Pharmacology, the study of pharmacogenomics, helps explain why some individuals respond well to a drug, while others experience side effects, a reflection of genetic differences in metabolism and receptor structure. The common thread through all these examples is precision, an approach that seeks to match treatment to the unique genetic and molecular identity of each patient. At the same time, the rise of genetic medicine invites careful reflection. To alter the blueprint of life, even with the best intentions, is to engage with something both powerful and fragile. Ethical considerations accompany every discovery. Questions of access, consent, and consequence. Should we edit the genome to prevent disease before birth? Should we use the same tools to enhance traits beyond what nature provided? Biomedicine walks a narrow path between innovation and humility, guided by the principle that healing must always serve life rather than seek to redefine it. Ultimately, genetic medicine is a story of partnership between science and nature, between knowledge and compassion. The human genome is not a fixed script but a living dialogue, written in code yet open to interpretation. Every time a scientist deciphers a new function, corrects a mutation, or identifies a molecular pathway, they are not rewriting nature's work but conversing with it, adding a careful annotation to a text billions of years in the making. Through this gentle collaboration, biomedicine moves closer to a vision of healing that begins not on the surface, but at the source, within the quiet spiral of DNA that gives rise to every heartbeat and every breath. As we rest, unaware of the constant transcription and translation occurring within our cells, this molecular script continues its work. It guides the renewal of tissues, the repair of damage, the maintenance of balance. The genome, patient and enduring, has carried life through uncounted generations. Now, through the light of science, we have begun to understand it, not to command it, but to join its rhythm. And in doing so, we find a profound truth that the blueprint of life is not a rigid design, but a living symphony, one that science, in its quiet devotion, learns to play in harmony with nature's enduring song. 5. The body's internal engineers. The immune system. Within the silent depths of the human body exists a vast and tireless network of guardians. It has no central commander, no single place from which orders flow. Yet it acts with remarkable coordination and wisdom, responding to threats before we are even aware of them. This is the immune system, the body's internal engineer, its living shield and repairer. It is not simply a defense mechanism, but a dynamic system of communication and restoration, continuously sculpting and maintaining the delicate balance that allows life to persist. To understand how science repairs the body, one must understand how the immune system repairs it first, for in its intricate design, nature has already written the original blueprint for healing. From the moment a human being takes their first breath, the immune system begins its lifelong work. It learns the contours of the self, every cell, every molecule that belongs, and in doing so, it establishes a boundary between what is part of us and what is not. This distinction is subtle, but absolute. When foreign invaders enter a bacterium, a virus, a toxin, the immune system recognizes their unfamiliar signatures and quietly mobilizes its forces. Some of these forces act within moments, forming the body's innate immunity. Others take longer to awaken, building a precise and targeted response known as adaptive immunity. Together, these layers create a system of protection that is both immediate and deeply intelligent, capable of remembering past encounters and responding to them more swiftly each time. At the heart of this system are the white blood cells, or leukocytes, which circulate like sentinels through the bloodstream and tissues. Each plays a distinct role in defense and repair. Neutrophils are the first to arrive at a site of injury or infection, engulfing invaders and clearing debris. Macrophages, whose name means big eaters, patrol the tissues more deliberately, consuming pathogens but also guiding healing by releasing growth factors that stimulate new cell growth. Lymphocytes, a more specialized group, include T cells and B cells, the architects of adaptive immunity. T cells can directly destroy infected cells or coordinate the responses of others. B cells produce antibodies, exquisitely shaped proteins, that recognize and neutralize specific targets. Every encounter between a B cell and its matching pathogen refines the body's molecular memory, ensuring that if the same invader returns, the response will be faster, stronger, and more precise. The immune system's memory is one of its most extraordinary features. When the body successfully fights an infection, it does not simply recover. It learns. Some of the B cells and T cells formed during the battle remain behind as memory cells, lying in quiet readiness. If the same pathogen appears again, they are instantly reactivated, producing antibodies or launching attacks before illness can take hold. This is the biological principle behind vaccination, a method by which biomedicine teaches the immune system without endangering it. By introducing a harmless fragment or weakened form of a pathogen, a vaccine allows the body to practice its defense, forming memory cells that will recognize and neutralize the real threat if it ever arrives. In this way, modern immunology works hand in hand with nature's own design, amplifying its intelligence rather than replacing it. Yet the immune system is not only a warrior, it is also a healer. When tissues are damaged, whether by injury or infection, immune cells orchestrate a sequence of events that lead to repair. Inflammation, often misunderstood as purely harmful, is in fact the body's first step toward recovery. It begins with the release of chemical messengers such as histamines and cytokines, which increase blood flow and make vessel walls more permeable. This allows immune cells and nutrients to reach the affected area. Swelling, warmth, and redness are visible signs of this process, evidence of the body's quiet urgency to restore order. Once the threat has been neutralized, other molecules signal for the inflammation to subside, and the process of rebuilding begins. Fibroblasts arrive to lay down collagen, forming the scaffolding for new tissue. Over time, the repair becomes seamless, and the memory of injury fades into the background rhythm of healing. Biomedicine studies these natural repair mechanisms to enhance them when they falter. Some conditions arise when the immune system becomes too aggressive, attacking the body's own tissues as though they were foreign. These are autoimmune diseases, disorders such as rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and type 1 diabetes. In each case, the system's sense of identity blurs. The line between self and non-self becomes confused. Understanding this confusion has been one of the great challenges of modern medicine. Through decades of study, researchers have uncovered many of the molecular signals that guide immune recognition, leading to therapies that restore tolerance, the immune system's ability to recognize its own body as home. Treatments using targeted antibodies or carefully designed immunosuppressants now help to quiet unnecessary attacks while preserving the system's essential defenses. Other disorders, such as immunodeficiency, represent the opposite problem: a system too quiet, too easily overwhelmed. Some people are born with missing components of the immune network, leaving them vulnerable to infections that others resist easily. For them, gene therapy and stem cell transplantation offer hope. By restoring missing genes or replacing the defective immune cells, these treatments can reawaken the body's natural capacity for protection. The success of such approaches demonstrates how deeply biomedicine has learned from the immune system itself. Rather than constructing something artificial, it seeks to reignite the body's original wisdom. Among the most profound applications of immunology in modern medicine is immunotherapy, the use of the immune system as a tool to fight disease. This approach has transformed the treatment of certain cancers, which often evade detection by disguising themselves as normal cells. Scientists have learned to reprogram T cells so they can recognize the hidden signals of tumors and attack them directly. These engineered cells, known as CAR T cells, act as living medicines, circulating through the body with focused intent. Each one carries the memory of its target, distinguishing between healthy and diseased tissue with precision far greater than most drugs can achieve. In other forms of immunotherapy, antibodies are designed to block the molecular pathways that tumors use to hide, revealing them to the immune system once more. Through these innovations, biomedicine transforms the body's natural defenses into a powerful instrument of healing. Despite its complexity, the immune system remains a model of balance. Its effectiveness depends on restraint as much as on strength. When the system overreacts, as in allergies, harmless substances like pollen or food proteins can trigger intense inflammation. When it underreacts, infections spread unchecked. The key lies in equilibrium, a constant dialogue between activation and calm. Biomedicine supports this balance by studying the molecules that act as mediators of the immune response. Cortisol, for instance, naturally suppresses excessive inflammation. Its synthetic counterparts, corticosteroids, are used in medicine to control overactive immune reactions. Similarly, monoclonal antibodies can be crafted to block specific cytokines, dampening runaway inflammation without silencing the immune system entirely. These approaches reflect a growing respect for the immune system's delicate calibration, a recognition that healing requires harmony, not force. Even in times of rest, when the body seems still, the immune system continues its quiet vigilance. Cells patrol the bloodstream and lymphatic channels, scanning for anomalies. Some act as recyclers, clearing away old or damaged cells to make space for renewal. Others monitor for cancerous transformations, identifying and destroying cells that have begun to divide abnormally. In this way, the immune system functions not only as a protector but as a sculptor, continuously shaping and refining the tissues of the body to maintain internal order. As research advances, scientists are discovering that the immune system also plays roles far beyond defense and repair. It communicates closely with the nervous system and the microbiome, influencing mood, cognition, and even behavior. Inflammation in the body can echo in the mind, linking physical and emotional states through chemical messengers that travel between immune cells and neurons. This insight is reshaping our understanding of health as a unified state, one in which the boundaries between body and mind blur into a single, interconnected network of responses. The immune system's quiet sophistication offers profound lessons to biomedicine. It teaches that strength lies in adaptability, that memory and balance are the keys to endurance. Every vaccine, every antibody therapy, every gene-based treatment that harnesses its power is a reflection of this understanding. Rather than opposing disease through external means alone, modern medicine seeks to empower the body to heal itself, to remind it of its inherent ability to adapt and recover. As night falls and the body enters rest, the immune system remains awake. It scans for disturbances, repairs, microscopic damage, and prepares for the challenges of another day. It is the unseen engineer of continuity, shaping health from within. In its vigilance lies a quiet assurance that even in stillness, life is protected by an ancient and intelligent force. Biomedicine, in turn, listens closely to this wisdom, translating its lessons into therapies that mirror nature's own patience and precision. And in that shared language of protection and renewal, the dialogue between science and the body continues, steady and enduring, as vital as the breath itself. 6. Biomedical engineering, merging metal and flesh. In the quiet intersection between biology and technology, a remarkable partnership has formed, one that blurs the boundary between the organic and the artificial. Biomedical engineering stands at this meeting point, weaving together the precision of mechanics, the understanding of biology, and the creativity of design to restore what time, injury, or illness has taken away. It is the science of rebuilding the human body from within, of crafting instruments that do not merely replace but harmonize with living tissue. In this field, metal and flesh, circuit and cell, come together in quiet collaboration, revealing the profound truth that healing is as much an art of creation as it is of restoration. The origins of biomedical engineering can be traced to the earliest attempts to aid the body's natural form. A carved wooden leg, a shaped piece of bone to support a fracture. These were among humanity's first efforts to merge craftsmanship with biology. Over centuries, as science deepened its understanding of anatomy and materials, these early prosthetics evolved from simple supports into dynamic extensions of the self. The modern era of biomedical engineering, however, truly began with the ability to look inward, to see the inner structures of the body, and imagine how they might be repaired or replicated. With each technological advance, the boundary between what is biological and what is mechanical became less distinct, replaced by the shared language of function, form, and adaptation. At the heart of this field lies a simple idea that technology can serve as a bridge between what is damaged and what is whole. A joint worn smooth by years of motion can be replaced by an artificial implant that restores its range and strength. A failing heart can be supported by a pacemaker, a small device that maintains its rhythm through gentle electrical pulses. Even the senses, once thought beyond repair, can be reawakened through engineering. A cochlear implant translating sound into electrical signals for the inner ear, or a retinal prosthesis converting light into impulses the brain can perceive. Each of these devices is a quiet testament to the ingenuity of human thought and the resilience of the human body. The success of biomedical engineering depends on understanding how living systems respond to foreign materials. The body, vigilant and protective, does not easily accept what it perceives as unnatural. Early implants often failed because the immune system rejected them, surrounding them with scar tissue or attempting to isolate them entirely. Over time, engineers learned to work with biology rather than against it. They began to design materials that could coexist with tissue metals like titanium, that resist corrosion and integrate with bone, polymers that mimic the elasticity of skin, ceramics that provide strength without brittleness. These biocompatible materials represent the quiet diplomacy between science and nature, each shaped to meet the other halfway. Perhaps one of the most elegant examples of this harmony is the artificial joint. The hip and knee, among the body's most burdened joints, are also among the most successfully replaced. Modern prosthetic joints are engineered to mirror the complex geometry of human anatomy. Their surfaces are coated with porous materials that allow bone to grow into them, anchoring them securely without rejection. Inside, smooth polymer liners reduce friction, allowing motion as fluid as the original joint once provided. When a patient walks again after joint replacement, the steps they take are not merely mechanical motions but symbols of a seamless merger between biology and engineering, a return to movement through the union of design and life. The same philosophy guides the creation of cardiac devices. The heart, ceaseless in its labor, is an organ both delicate and powerful. When its rhythm falters, biomedical engineering steps in to restore the beat. Pacemakers, some no larger than a coin, monitor the heart's electrical signals and deliver gentle pulses when needed. Implantable defibrillators stand ready to correct dangerous arrhythmias, sending life-saving shocks when the heart's pattern collapses into chaos. More recently, artificial hearts and ventricular assist devices have been developed to support circulation in patients awaiting transplants or recovering from heart failure. These machines are not cold mechanisms but living companions, their quiet hum synchronizing with the pulse of their host, keeping life in motion while the body finds its balance again. Beyond mechanical support, biomedical engineering reaches into the realm of regeneration, the dream of creating living tissues and organs in the laboratory. Using a combination of biology and engineering, researchers now cultivate sheets of skin for burn victims, grow cartilage for damaged joints, and even construct miniature organs known as organoids to study disease. The process often begins with a scaffold, a porous structure that mimics the architecture of natural tissue. Onto this framework, living cells are seeded and nourished, guided by chemical and physical cues to grow into the desired shape. Over time, the scaffold may dissolve, leaving behind tissue that is fully biological, yet formed through engineering. In this gentle fusion of art and science, the body's regenerative abilities are not replaced but amplified. 3. Deprinting has opened new horizons for this work. Layer by layer, printers deposit bioinks composed of living cells and supportive materials, forming intricate structures with microscopic precision. Each print is unique, tailored to the individual's anatomy through imaging data such as CT or MRI scans. A bone graft can be printed to fit perfectly into a patient's injury. A heart valve can be designed to match the precise curvature of their own heart. The goal is not simply to replicate nature, but to understand its principles so deeply that we can work alongside it, creating tools that fit seamlessly into its rhythm. Neural engineering represents another frontier in the merging of metal and flesh. The nervous system, a network of electrical and chemical signals, can be influenced and interpreted through technology. Brain-computer interfaces, once the realm of imagination, now allow individuals with paralysis to control robotic limbs or communicate through thought alone. Tiny electrodes placed on or within the brain record patterns of neural activity, translating them into digital commands. In turn, sensory feedback from artificial limbs can be converted into signals the brain recognizes as touch, completing the loop between perception and movement. Each connection, though made of wire and silicon, becomes part of the living whole, a bridge across the divide between the physical and the digital. The success of these advances depends on a deep respect for the body's subtle complexity. Biomedical engineers do not impose technology upon biology. They learn its rhythm, its tolerances, and its language. The body is not static but alive, adapting to every intervention. A prosthetic must not only fit, but become part of the user's sense of self. A cardiac device must not only function, but harmonize with the body's natural cadence. Even the materials used in sutures, stents, and implants are designed to respond dissolving over time, releasing medicine slowly, or changing shape under heat and pressure. This is not engineering in the industrial sense. It is engineering in the biological sense, responsive and deeply human. Biomedicine has also extended its reach into the realm of wearable and embedded sensors, technologies that monitor vital signs continuously, offering insight into the body's state in real time. Smart implants track heart rhythms, glucose levels, and oxygen saturation, transmitting information that can guide treatment before symptoms appear. In doing so, they create a partnership between the individual and their own biology, transforming care from reaction to prevention. Each piece of data collected, each pattern observed, becomes part of a larger effort to understand the living system as it evolves moment by moment. Through all of this, the central principle remains unchanged. Technology exists to serve life, not to dominate it. Biomedical engineering succeeds not by overpowering biology, but by learning from it. The gears and circuits of a machine can be precise, but the living body is adaptable, capable of repair and renewal. When the two are brought together with care, the result is not a contest but a collaboration. A limb that moves by thought, a heart that beats with mechanical support, an organ grown from the cells of its recipient. Each reflects a quiet synthesis of science and life's enduring creativity. As the day ends and the body settles into rest, the products of biomedical engineering continue their work silently. A pacemaker maintains its steady rhythm. A prosthetic limb rests beside its owner, ready to return to motion in the morning. In hospitals and laboratories, new designs take shape, lighter, more responsive, more attuned to the living tissue they will one day accompany. The boundary between body and machine grows ever thinner, not as a loss but as an expansion, a gentle unfolding of what it means to be whole. In the merging of metal and flesh, we see the reflection of a timeless pursuit, the desire to restore, to renew, to make complete what has been diminished. Biomedical engineering does not replace the human body. It listens to it, learns from it, and helps it continue its ancient rhythm. It is science at its most compassionate, not the creation of something new, but the continuation of something eternal, the quiet, persistent will of life to endure, to adapt, and to move forward in harmony with the tools we have learned to build. 7. Regenerative medicine and tissue renewal. In the gentle rhythm of the body, every breath and every heartbeat is accompanied by an act of renewal. Cells die and are replaced. Tissues repair small injuries without notice, and the intricate balance of life quietly continues. This ongoing restoration is not something we consciously feel, yet it defines what it means to be alive. Within the human body, every moment is an interplay between decay and regeneration. For centuries, medicine sought only to mend what was broken, to stitch wounds, to stabilize fractures, to ease the pain of loss. But now, through the field of regenerative medicine, science has learned to go deeper, to awaken the body's own power to rebuild itself. It is a discipline that looks not merely to patch, but to restore, to return the body to wholeness, by working with its most fundamental capacity, the ability to grow anew. At its core, regenerative medicine is an extension of nature's own design. Every organism possesses some ability to repair damage. The skin closes over a wound, the liver regenerates lost tissue. Even the heart, once thought incapable of healing, can form new muscle cells in small numbers. Yet these processes, though remarkable, are limited. The body's natural repair can falter with age or after severe injury, leaving scars where once there was structure. Regenerative medicine seeks to bridge this gap, to understand how the body heals and to amplify those mechanisms where they fall short. It is not a replacement for life's processes, but a collaboration with them, an effort to coax the body into remembering how to become whole again. The foundation of this field lies in the remarkable versatility of stem cells. These primitive cells, found in embryos, bone marrow, and even adult tissues, possess a gift unlike any other: the potential to become nearly any type of cell in the body. Under the right conditions, a stem cell can transform into a neuron, a muscle fiber, a patch of skin, or a cluster of liver cells. During early development, stem cells give rise to the full architecture of the human form. Later in life, smaller reservoirs remain, quietly repairing tissue where they are needed. Regenerative medicine harnesses this adaptability, guiding stem cells with molecular cues to regenerate organs and tissues that would otherwise remain damaged. To understand how this happens is to witness a kind of biological artistry. In the laboratory, scientists create environments that mimic the conditions inside the body: warm, nutrient-rich spaces where cells can grow and communicate. By adjusting the chemical signals and the surfaces on which the cells rest, researchers can guide their fate. A stem cell, exposed to specific growth factors, may begin to beat rhythmically, like a heart cell. Another, placed in a gel resembling cartilage, may develop into the smooth, resilient cells that cushion joints. When these laboratory-grown cells are introduced into the body, they can integrate with existing tissues, replacing what has been lost, and sometimes even stimulating the body's own cells to join the repair. This approach has already begun to transform medicine. Burn victims receive sheets of lab-grown skin derived from their own cells, reducing the risk of rejection. Patients with damaged corneas regain sight through the transplantation of regenerated tissue. In bone and cartilage injuries, stem cell therapies have shown the ability to rebuild structure, restoring function that was once thought irretrievably lost. These successes, though still in early stages, point toward a future in which organ failure may no longer mean the end of life, but the beginning of regeneration. One of the most fascinating aspects of regenerative medicine is its partnership with biomaterials, structures that guide and support new tissue growth. Inside the body, every organ has a specific architecture, a three-dimensional scaffold made of proteins and fibers that gives it shape and stability. When tissue is damaged, this scaffold often collapses, leaving cells without the framework they need to rebuild. Scientists have learned to create artificial scaffolds from biocompatible materials, often biodegradable, that mimic the body's natural matrix. These scaffolds are seeded with living cells and infused with growth factors, forming the foundation for regeneration. Over time, as new tissue forms, the scaffold gradually dissolves, leaving behind only living, functional material. This concept has been expanded through the art of tissue engineering, a marriage of biology, chemistry, and design. Using advanced techniques such as 3D bioprinting, researchers can now arrange living cells in precise patterns, layer by layer, to form complex structures. A small piece of bone, a patch of heart tissue, even an entire organ prototype can be constructed this way. Each cell type is placed according to its natural position in the body, ensuring that once implanted, the tissue behaves as it should. The dream of printing a fully functional heart or kidney remains just beyond the horizon, but progress is steady, and with every experiment, the lines between what is natural and what is engineered grow softer, more harmonious. Yet regenerative medicine is not confined to the laboratory. It also draws from the body's own reservoirs of healing. Within many organs lie dormant stem cells that awaken in response to injury. In the liver, these cells can regenerate lost tissue almost completely. In the muscles, satellite cells lie in wait, ready to repair fibers after strain. Even in the brain, once thought incapable of renewal, small regions harbor neural stem cells that give rise to new neurons throughout life. By understanding the molecular signals that activate these cells, scientists hope to trigger regeneration from within, encouraging the body to heal itself without the need for external intervention. This approach has led to new therapies that use chemical or genetic signals to awaken local stem cells or reprogram mature cells into more flexible states. The discovery that even ordinary cells can be transformed back into stem-like cells, a process known as induced pluripotency, has opened a new era in medicine. With a few carefully chosen genes, a skin cell can be turned back in time, regaining its ability to become anything once more. This breakthrough allows researchers to create patient-specific tissues, perfectly matched and free from immune rejection, a quiet harmony between self and science. But regenerative medicine is not without its challenges. The process of rebuilding tissue is intricate, requiring the right balance of structure, blood supply, and biochemical signals. Too much growth can lead to tumors, too little, to incomplete healing. The immune system, ever vigilant, can complicate matters, mistaking helpful cells for intruders. Each new therapy must find equilibrium between intervention and restraint, between guiding life and allowing it to unfold at its own pace. Biomedicine, in this realm, learns patience, a respect for the natural timing of regeneration, which cannot be rushed without consequence. Beyond the physical, regeneration carries profound symbolic meaning. It speaks to the resilience of life itself, to the body's quiet refusal to yield completely to decay. Every scar that fades, every organ that renews, reminds us that repair is written into our very design. The work of regenerative medicine simply gives that design a clearer voice, offering it the conditions it needs to flourish. When a person regains movement, sight, or breath through these methods, it is not the triumph of science alone, but the awakening of something deeply ancient, the memory of how to heal. In the larger perspective, regenerative medicine invites us to reconsider what it means to grow older, to be wounded, to recover. It suggests that aging may one day be understood not as inevitable decline, but as a gradual imbalance that can be corrected, that even cells long past their prime may be reminded of their original vitality. It also offers a glimpse of a future where donor shortages and transplant rejections become relics of the past, where a person's own cells provide the raw material for renewal. As the night settles and the body enters its natural cycle of repair, regenerative processes unfold quietly within. Skin renews itself, muscle fibers knit back together, and organs maintain their steady rhythm. These same principles guide the work of scientists who watch over cultures of growing cells under soft light, observing the same miracles on a microscopic scale. The connection between them, between the healing body and the thoughtful researcher, is profound. Both participate in the same timeless act, the restoration of life's harmony. Regenerative medicine does not seek to defy mortality or perfection. It seeks instead to honor the body's capacity for balance, to rekindle what time and injury have dimmed, to remind each cell of its place in the great continuity of being. It is the science of renewal, patient and quiet, echoing the same rhythm that guides every sunrise and every heartbeat. And in that gentle rhythm, where decay meets creation, we find the essence of healing itself, not as an invention of human ingenuity, but as a continuation of nature's enduring will to begin again. 8. Pharmaceuticals, chemistry as a healing art. In the quiet history of healing, few forces have shaped medicine as profoundly as chemistry. From the first herbal infusions prepared over a fire to the precise molecular compounds crafted in modern laboratories, the journey of pharmaceuticals is the story of humanity's deepening dialogue with nature's materials. At its heart lies a simple aspiration to relieve suffering by understanding how matter interacts with life. The art of pharmacology is not only one of invention but of harmony, of learning how each molecule speaks to the body's intricate systems, and how that conversation can be guided toward balance. To explore pharmaceuticals is to enter a world where chemistry becomes compassion, and every compound carries the quiet promise of restoration. Long before the language of atoms and molecules existed, people sought healing through the natural world. Leaves, roots, minerals, and resins were gathered, crushed, and combined based on observation and intuition. Some of these early remedies were crude, others remarkably effective. Willow bark, for example, was used for centuries to ease pain and fever. Only later did scientists discover that its active component, salicin, gives rise to modern aspirin. The ancient healers did not know the structures of these compounds, but they understood something deeper, that nature's chemistry could alter the rhythm of the body, turning pain into ease and sickness into recovery. Their work laid the foundation for the science that would one day refine those same elements into precise and powerful medicines. As human knowledge expanded, the study of chemistry illuminated the hidden processes behind these remedies. In the 19th century, advances in organic chemistry allowed scientists to isolate and synthesize active ingredients from plants and minerals. Morphine from the opium poppy, quinine from cinchona bark, and digitalis from foxglove were among the first purified drugs, each offering a glimpse into the body's molecular sensitivities. Later, with the discovery of microbes as the cause of infection, the search for substances that could destroy bacteria without harming human cells began. This search led to one of the most transformative moments in medical history, the discovery of penicillin by Alexander Fleming in 1928. The mold's quiet secretion of a bacterial poison became the basis for antibiotics, ushering in an era where chemistry could not only soothe but save lives on a global scale. Pharmaceuticals work by interacting with the body's biological machinery at the most fundamental level, the level of molecules and receptors. Every process within us, from muscle contraction to memory formation, is governed by chemical reactions and signaling pathways. Drugs are designed to participate in these reactions, either by enhancing them, suppressing them, or mimicking their natural components. The precision of this interaction is what makes a medicine effective. A molecule that fits perfectly into a receptor can trigger healing. One that fits poorly can cause imbalance. The art of pharmacology lies in finding that perfect fit, a task that requires both creativity and exacting scientific rigor. In modern research, this process begins with understanding disease at the molecular scale. Scientists identify a target, an enzyme, a receptor, or a specific gene product that plays a critical role in illness. Once the target is known, chemical structures are designed to interact with it in beneficial ways. Sometimes these structures are inspired by natural compounds. Other times they are entirely new, crafted atom by atom through computational modeling and experimentation. The resulting molecules are tested first in the laboratory, then in living systems, and finally in carefully monitored human trials. Only after years of refinement, observation, and confirmation does a new medicine reach the world, each one carrying within it the weight of countless hours of thought, patience, and hope. What makes this endeavor so extraordinary is not merely its complexity but its precision. Consider how a single tablet of medicine, scarcely larger than a grain of rice, can influence billions of cells across the body. When swallowed, it dissolves and is absorbed into the bloodstream, carried quietly through vessels and capillaries to reach its destination. There, it encounters the molecular target it was designed for and performs its task, perhaps inhibiting an enzyme that fuels inflammation or binding to a receptor to calm the signals of pain. The effect is not a blunt force but a whisper, a subtle redirection of chemistry that ripples outward through the body's systems. Healing unfolds as a conversation between molecule and cell, chemistry and biology, guided by the invisible logic of balance. Modern pharmaceuticals are far more than simple cures. They are instruments of control and understanding. Some restore what the body can no longer produce: insulin for those with diabetes, hormones for those whose glands have fallen silent. Others defend against invisible invaders, preventing viruses or bacteria from gaining a foothold. Still others modulate the immune system itself, calming its overactivity or amplifying its vigilance. Each represents a collaboration between human insight and natural law. When the immune system is taught to recognize a tumor, or when a molecule stabilizes a fragile enzyme, it is chemistry that performs the delicate work of communication, translating the abstract principles of biology into tangible healing. As the science of chemistry advances, so too does our ability to personalize these interventions. The era of one-size-fits-all medicine is slowly giving way to precision pharmacology treatments tailored to the individual's genetic makeup, metabolism, and environment. Genetic testing can reveal variations in enzymes that affect how a person processes certain drugs. What is safe and effective for one individual may be too weak or too potent for another. By understanding these genetic differences, doctors can select the right dose or even the right molecule, ensuring that therapy aligns with the unique chemistry of each body. This harmony between medicine and individuality represents one of the most humane evolutions of pharmacological science. The recognition that healing must be as personal as the illness itself. Despite its power, pharmaceuticals remain grounded in humility. Every medicine, no matter how advanced, carries the potential for side effects, a reminder that chemistry's precision is never absolute. The body is not a static machine but a living ecosystem, and each intervention must be weighed with care. Biomedicine embraces this truth by seeking balance rather than dominance. The goal is not to silence the body's signals but to listen to them, to guide them back toward stability. Even the development of new drugs follows this principle of gentle persuasion, refining molecules to act more selectively, to integrate more naturally into the body's rhythms, reducing harm while enhancing harmony. Pharmaceutical discovery has also entered new dimensions through biotechnology. Living organisms, bacteria, yeast, and cultured cells are now used to produce complex biological medicines, such as insulin, antibodies, and vaccines. These biopharmaceuticals represent a fusion of biology and chemistry, where life itself becomes the factory of healing. Monoclonal antibodies, for instance, are designed to recognize specific molecules associated with disease. Binding to them with exquisite accuracy, they can neutralize toxins, block viral entry, or mark cancer cells for destruction. Each of these therapies is a masterpiece of molecular craftsmanship, shaped not in the forge of metal but in the living processes of biology itself. At the same time, new methods of drug delivery are changing how medicine interacts with the body. Nanoparticles can carry drugs directly to diseased tissues, releasing their contents slowly and precisely. Transdermal patches allow molecules to diffuse gently through the skin, maintaining steady therapeutic levels without the peaks and valleys of pills or injections. Even within the bloodstream, smart drug systems can respond to environmental cues, acidity, temperature, or enzyme activity, releasing their payloads only where needed. These innovations embody a shift in philosophy, from the idea of imposing treatment upon the body to that of partnering with its natural systems. In the vast landscape of medicine, pharmaceuticals stand as one of the clearest expressions of human curiosity and care. They represent our attempt to understand life not only as a series of mechanical functions but as a subtle interplay of forces that can be guided through knowledge. Each capsule, each drop, each infusion carries within it the legacy of centuries of discovery, from the roots of ancient herbs to the digital models of modern chemistry. And yet, at the deepest level, their purpose remains unchanged: to ease suffering, to restore balance, to help the body find its way back to harmony. As night deepens and the body rests, the work of chemistry continues silently within. Molecules travel through veins, engage their receptors, and withdraw once their purpose is fulfilled. The pulse slows, cells renew, and healing proceeds with quiet precision. Pharmaceuticals, in their essence, are companions to this natural process, gentle interventions that remind the body how to recover its rhythm. In their measured interactions, in the subtle merging of human insight and molecular design, they embody one of the most elegant truths of biomedicine: that science, when guided by empathy, becomes not just knowledge but art, the art of chemistry, in service to life's unbroken continuity. 9. Imaging the distance. Invisible diagnostic biomedicine. Deep within the human body, beyond what the eye can see, an endless landscape unfolds, a world of motion, light, and quiet complexity. Blood flows like a river through winding vessels, nerves branch like ancient trees, and cells pulse with invisible energy. For much of human history, this hidden realm remained a mystery. Physicians could only infer its workings from the surface, from what could be touched, heard, or felt. The body's interior was a place of speculation and shadow, but over time, through the patient refinement of science, the invisible began to reveal itself. Diagnostic biomedicine emerged as the art of seeing within, not through incision or invasion, but through light, sound, magnetism, and mathematics. It is the gentle science of looking inward without harm, of allowing the body to tell its own story in images and echoes. The desire to see beneath the skin is as old as medicine itself. Early healers relied on the language of symptoms, tracing fever, pulse, and color as clues to the state of the organs within. But the body's secrets remained sealed until a quiet revolution began at the end of the 19th century. In 1895, Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen discovered a form of light that could pass through flesh, yet be stopped by bone. When he held his wife's hand before this invisible beam, the first X-ray image appeared a ghostly outline of bone and ring suspended in shadow. That moment marked the beginning of medical imaging, and the boundaries of perception changed forever. For the first time, doctors could look within the living body without cutting into it, observing fractures, foreign objects, and disease with unprecedented clarity. The X-ray, though simple in concept, transformed diagnosis. Its beams, when absorbed in varying degrees by different tissues, created patterns that revealed structure. Dense materials like bone absorbed more radiation, appearing bright and solid, while softer tissues appeared in shades of gray. Over the decades that followed, refinements in technique and safety made X-rays a cornerstone of modern medicine. From the alignment of bones to the shape of the heart, from the detection of pneumonia to the identification of swallowed objects, the invisible world inside became a map that could be studied, understood, and gently repaired. Yet, as medicine advanced, so too did the hunger for more detail, for ways to see not only structure, but function, not only form, but movement. This quest led to the invention of computed tomography, or CT scanning. Unlike traditional X-rays, which produce a flat image, CT uses rotating beams and mathematical reconstruction to create cross-sectional views of the body. In these layered images, doctors can explore the organs in 3 dimensions, tracing the contours of tumors, vessels, and bones with delicate precision. What was once a blur becomes clear. What was once a mystery becomes measurable. A CT scan can reveal a hemorrhage within the brain, a clot in the lungs, or the smallest crack in a bone, guiding treatment with accuracy that borders on the miraculous. Where X-rays and CT rely on radiation, another form of imaging arose from the realm of magnetism. Magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI, offers a vision of the body that is both detailed and gentle. Instead of using ionizing radiation, MRI works by aligning the hydrogen atoms within the body's water molecules, using a powerful magnetic field. When these atoms are disturbed by a pulse of radio waves, they emit faint signals as they return to alignment. Computers translate these signals into exquisite images of soft tissue, revealing the brain, muscles, and organs in astonishing detail. Each MRI scan is like a portrait of the body's interior in motionless tranquility, capturing not only shape but texture, the subtle gradients that distinguish healthy from diseased tissue. MRI has become especially important in the study of the brain, where its ability to differentiate delicate structures has unlocked new understandings of thought, memory, and emotion. Functional MRI, or fMRI, adds yet another dimension by measuring changes in blood flow that reflect neural activity. Through this technique, scientists can observe which areas of the brain awaken when we see, speak, or dream. Though these images are born of mathematics and magnetism, they resonate with profound meaning, showing us the living patterns of consciousness itself. Sound, too, has become a tool for seeing. Ultrasound imaging uses high-frequency waves that travel harmlessly through the body, reflecting back from tissues of different densities. These echoes are translated into real-time images, alive with motion, the beating of a heart, the flow of blood through vessels, the movement of a developing fetus, all appear as shimmering forms on a screen. Ultrasound is as close to listening as it is to seeing. It interprets vibrations that exist beyond human hearing and transforms them into vision. Its gentleness makes it indispensable in prenatal care, where it allows expectant parents and physicians alike to witness life unfolding before birth, a moment of science touched by quiet wonder. Each of these imaging methods, X-ray, CT, MRI, ultrasound, represents a unique way of listening to the body. They do not see in the way eyes see, but through physics, through the interactions of energy and matter, and yet together they compose a language of extraordinary depth, a universal script that physicians learn to read. A shadow on a lung, a bright spot in a bone, a fluid motion in an artery, each tells a story. Diagnostic biomedicine is, in essence, the art of interpretation. It transforms patterns of light and sound into understanding, bridging the gap between image and insight, between what is hidden and what can be healed. As technology advances, new forms of imaging continue to emerge. Positron, emission tomography, or PET scanning reveals not just the structure of tissues, but their activity, how they consume energy, how they respond to treatment, how disease spreads within. By using small amounts of radioactive tracers, PET imaging captures the body in motion at the molecular level, showing processes that unfold invisibly within each cell. Combined with CT or MRI, it provides a layered understanding of the living system, where structure and function meet in perfect synchrony. Other innovations extend the reach of imaging into the cellular and even molecular realms. Optical microscopy, enhanced by lasers and fluorescence, allows scientists to watch individual proteins move within cells. Nanotechnology introduces contrast agents that can highlight specific targets, making early detection of disease possible long before symptoms arise. These tools do not replace the physician's touch or intuition. Rather, they extend perception beyond the limits of human sense, offering glimpses into the microscopic choreography that sustains life. The power of diagnostic biomedicine lies not only in its technical precision but in its gentleness. The ability to see inside the body without breaking it open represents a profound ethical shift from invasive exploration to non-invasive observation. Each scan, each image, is an act of respect for the body's integrity. It allows healing to proceed with minimal harm, guided by knowledge rather than intrusion. In this sense, imaging is more than technology. It is empathy made visible, a way of listening deeply without touching, of understanding without taking away. There is also beauty in the images themselves, not the aesthetic of artifice, but the quiet grace of truth. The arcs of bones, the spirals of vessels, the curves of the brain's folds, these forms, revealed through science, remind us that the human body is a structure both functional and sublime. In medical imaging, we glimpse not only pathology but pattern, not only disease but design. Each scan, when viewed with wonder, becomes a portrait of life's order and fragility intertwined. in hospitals around the world, as machines hum softly through the night. This work continues. Patients lie still while invisible waves pass gently through them, carrying back stories of blood, bone, and breath. Physicians lean close to screens illuminated with quiet light, reading the traces of hidden worlds, their eyes trained to find meaning in gradients and shadows. The act is both scientific and reverent, a meeting between human curiosity and the mysteries of the body. When dawn comes and those images are stored away, the knowledge they reveal endures. The fractures mended, the tumors detected early, the illnesses guided toward recovery, all trace their beginnings to this simple act of seeing. Diagnostic biomedicine transforms invisibility into understanding, turning darkness into a map by which healing can find its way. And so, as the body continues its silent work of renewal, the instruments of imaging stand as its companions, listening, observing, never intruding. They remind us that to heal is first to see, to understand the unseen with patience and care. In their light and resonance, the invisible becomes known, and within that knowing, the possibility of repair is born anew. 10. Nanomedicine healing at the smallest scale. In the vast landscape of the human body, where tissues and organs form the great architecture of life, there exists a world so small that it escapes even the finest lens of the naked eye. This is the world of molecules and atoms, of the silent particles that compose every breath and heartbeat. Within this realm, motion never ceases. Proteins fold, ions flow, and signals travel between cells, in a dance too delicate to be seen. It is here, at the scale of nanometers, that science has begun to find new ways to heal. Nanomedicine, the union of medicine and nanotechnology, explores how the smallest structures can bring the greatest changes. It is an art of precision and humility, where healing begins not with the hand but with the atom. To understand nanomedicine, one must first imagine the scale on which it operates. A single nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter, a distance so minute that it lies between the dimensions of molecules and individual atoms. A strand of human hair is about 80,000 nanometers thick. A red blood cell measures roughly 7,000. Within this measureless smallness, ordinary materials take on extraordinary properties. Gold, for instance, becomes not a solid metal but a shimmering dust, whose particles reflect light differently, whose behavior changes in the presence of living cells. At this scale, the laws of physics merge with the language of chemistry, and matter itself becomes flexible and responsive. Nanomedicine harnesses this subtle behavior, crafting particles and structures small enough to navigate the body's most intimate spaces. The origins of nanomedicine trace back to a vision, the dream that one day, doctors could send microscopic machines into the body to repair cells from within. While that dream remains partly poetic, its foundations have become real. Scientists have learned to design nanoparticles that can carry drugs, seek out diseased cells, and release their therapeutic contents with exquisite timing. These particles, often smaller than a virus, can slip through biological barriers that larger molecules cannot cross. Once inside, they move silently through the bloodstream, guided by chemistry rather than sight, drawn to their destinations by the signals of disease, a shift in pH, a difference in temperature, or the presence of specific receptors. One of the most profound uses of nanomedicine is targeted drug delivery. Traditional medicine, though effective, can sometimes act like a wide brush, spreading its effects throughout the body, rather than focusing on a single site. Chemotherapy, for example, destroys cancer cells, but often harms healthy tissues as well. Nanoparticles change this equation. By enclosing a drug within a nanoscale capsule, scientists can control when and where it is released. The outer layer of the particle is designed to recognize specific markers on the surface of diseased cells. When it encounters its target, the capsule opens, releasing the medicine exactly where it is needed. The rest of the body remains largely untouched, reducing side effects and increasing effectiveness. It is a form of precision that mirrors the body's own logic, where every molecule finds its purpose through recognition and fit. These tiny couriers come in many forms. Some are made of lipids, the same materials that compose cell membranes, allowing them to merge seamlessly with biological tissues. Others are constructed from biodegradable polymers that dissolve harmlessly after delivering their cargo. Metal nanoparticles, such as those made of gold or iron oxide, can be guided externally, using magnetic fields or light, allowing even greater control over their movement. Each design is a careful negotiation between strength and softness, between endurance and dissolution. The goal is not to overwhelm the body, but to work within its quiet order, to make the artificial feel natural. Nanomedicine also offers new ways to see. Just as diagnostic imaging made the invisible visible on a human scale, nanoparticles now illuminate what lies hidden on the molecular one. Tiny fluorescent or magnetic particles can be engineered to bind to specific tissues, making early detection of disease possible. A cluster of cancer cells too small for conventional imaging to detect can glow subtly when illuminated by near-infrared light, revealing its presence long before it grows dangerous. These nanoscale markers act like lanterns carried into darkness, showing pathways where once there was only uncertainty. They allow doctors to observe the progression of illness and the success of treatment with a precision that would once have been unimaginable. In addition to delivering medicine and revealing disease, nanoparticles themselves can act as instruments of therapy. Some are designed to generate heat when exposed to light or magnetic fields, selectively destroying diseased cells while leaving healthy tissue unharmed. Others carry genetic material fragments of RNA or DNA that can silence harmful genes or awaken healing ones. This merging of nanotechnology and genetic medicine opens an entirely new frontier, where repair happens at the level of instruction rather than structure. Instead of replacing damaged tissue, the therapy teaches the body how to repair it on its own, using the same molecular vocabulary that nature has always spoken. The potential of nanomedicine also extends to regenerative medicine, where nanoparticles guide the growth of new tissues. By coating scaffolds with nanoscale materials, scientists can mimic the patterns found in the body's own extracellular matrix, encouraging stem cells to grow and differentiate in specific ways. In bone regeneration, for instance, nanostructured surfaces provide cues that direct cells to form mineralized tissue, restoring strength and form. In neural repair, nanofibers serve as pathways along which new nerve cells can extend, reconnecting what was once severed. Each of these applications reflects a deep respect for the intelligence of living systems, a recognition that healing is a dialogue between structure and signal, chemistry and life. As this field evolves, nanomedicine also teaches scientists humility. Working at such a small scale demands extraordinary precision, for even the slightest change in size or shape can alter a particle's behavior within the body. The challenges are delicate ones, ensuring that nanoparticles reach their targets safely, that they do not accumulate where they should not, that their presence remains temporary and harmonious. Researchers design materials that can be broken down naturally by the body, returning harmlessly to their elemental forms after their work is done. In this way, the technology honors one of biology's oldest principles, that nothing in nature is static, that all things exist in cycles of creation and renewal. The applications of nanomedicine reach far beyond treatment. In infectious disease, nanoparticles are used to create vaccines that train the immune system with precision, delivering antigens in forms that closely mimic real pathogens. In environmental health, they can be used to purify blood or neutralize toxins, acting as microscopic filters. Even the study of aging now looks to nanotechnology for clues, exploring how nanoscale interactions contribute to cellular wear and how they might be slowed or reversed. Each discovery brings the promise of not just longer life but deeper vitality, a future where illness may be addressed at its earliest whisper, before it has time to grow loud. Yet beyond the science and promise, nanomedicine carries a quiet beauty. To think that healing can occur at such a small scale, within the silence between atoms, evokes a sense of wonder. It reminds us that life itself is built from the unseen, that strength arises from the invisible foundations that hold us together. The same forces that allow a nanoparticle to deliver a drug with precision also guide the folding of a protein, the beating of a heart, the regeneration of a wound. In working with these forces, biomedicine aligns not against nature, but with it, participating in the same gentle order that sustains all living things. As night falls and the body rests, this unseen realm continues its ceaseless motion. Within the cells, molecular repair unfolds quietly, guided by energies too small to be felt. The future of healing may well depend on our ability to understand and join that rhythm, to send assistance not through great interventions, but through the smallest of gestures, crafted with care and understanding. Nanomedicine embodies that future, a science of precision, patience, and profound humility. In its silence, there is immense power, not the power to dominate or replace, but to harmonize, to restore the fine balance that defines life. Through its delicate instruments, biomedicine reaches the smallest spaces of existence, illuminating them with knowledge and care. And in those tiny realms, where the boundaries between physics and biology dissolve, the act of healing takes on its purest form, gentle, unseen, and endlessly enduring, echoing the quiet perfection of life itself. 11. The role of biotechnology. Beneath the surface of every living thing lies a quiet system of cooperation. Cells communicate, enzymes catalyze reactions, and genes whisper instructions that sustain life's rhythm. Within this intricate harmony, science has found not only understanding, but also inspiration. Biotechnology, the application of biological knowledge to create tools, medicines, and solutions, is a testament to humanity's ability to learn from nature's language and to speak it with care. It is the study of life not as a mystery to be conquered, but as a collaborator in healing and creation. Through biotechnology, science does not merely observe the living world, it works alongside it, shaping processes that nurture, repair, and renew. At its heart, biotechnology is a bridge between biology and innovation. It begins with the recognition that living systems are capable of extraordinary feats: the synthesis of complex molecules, the transformation of energy, the adaptation to change, and that these capabilities can be guided toward human good. Long before the term existed, biotechnology was already present in human history. When ancient people fermented grain into bread and wine, or cultured milk into yogurt and cheese, they were harnessing the invisible power of microbes. These early biotechnologists, though unaware of the microscopic world, were already shaping of life's chemistry to serve nourishment and survival. What began as an art of observation has now become one of precision, guided by the tools of genetics, molecular biology, and engineering. Modern biotechnology took root in the 20th century, when the discovery of DNA's structure revealed the code that underlies all living systems. With this understanding came the ability to read, copy, and eventually modify that code. The first great breakthrough came in 1973, when scientists developed recombinant DNA technology, a method of joining genetic material from different organisms. This quiet innovation opened the door to a new kind of creation. By inserting a human gene into a bacterium, researchers found that the microbe could produce a human protein. From that discovery came one of biotechnology's earliest triumphs: the production of synthetic insulin. Before this advance, insulin for diabetes treatment had to be extracted from animal pancreases, an arduous and imperfect process. With recombinant DNA, bacteria could produce pure human insulin, ensuring safety, abundance, and accessibility. In this moment, medicine crossed a threshold. Healing became a partnership between human intellect and the creative machinery of life itself. From that beginning, biotechnology has expanded into nearly every branch of biomedicine. Today, bacteria and yeast act as living factories, generating vaccines, hormones, enzymes, and therapeutic proteins with quiet efficiency. In bioreactors, vessels that maintain ideal conditions for growth, microorganisms reproduce and express the genes they have been given, translating genetic instructions into tangible products. These bioengineered cells are carefully nurtured, fed with nutrients and oxygen, their environment monitored for the slightest change in pH or temperature. The result is a form of medicine that is both natural and designed products, crafted by life, refined by science, and delivered to heal life in return. Biotechnology's influence reaches far beyond the production of drugs. It extends into agriculture, where genetically modified crops are designed to resist disease, tolerate drought, or provide higher yields. It touches environmental science, where engineered bacteria clean oil spills or absorb pollutants from the air and soil. In each of these examples, the principle remains the same: to use the intelligence of living systems to solve problems that once seemed beyond human reach. The power of biotechnology lies not in force but in understanding, in recognizing that the processes of life can be adapted, not disrupted, to serve the well-being of the world that created them. Within medicine itself, biotechnology has given rise to a new generation of therapies that move beyond chemical intervention to biological collaboration. Monoclonal antibodies, for example, are proteins engineered to recognize specific targets in the body, such as cancer cells or viruses. They act like precise instruments, binding only to their intended sites, marking them for destruction or blocking harmful activity. Vaccines, too, have evolved through biotechnology. Instead of relying on weakened pathogens, scientists can now use fragments of genetic material to teach the immune system how to recognize and fight disease. These genetic vaccines, exemplified by the mRNA vaccines developed in recent years, represent one of biotechnology's greatest gifts, a means of mobilizing the body's own defenses, using nothing more than the information encoded in RNA. Another realm where biotechnology quietly transforms medicine is in gene therapy. By using viral vectors or other delivery systems, scientists can introduce new genes into cells to correct inherited disorders or provide missing functions. In some cases, the treatment involves editing the genome itself, using tools like CRISPR to remove or replace defective sequences. These therapies go beyond symptom management. They address the root of disease, restoring the integrity of life's code. A child born with a genetic immune deficiency can now, through biotechnology, receive a treatment that corrects their DNA, allowing them to live a life of normal health. Each success is a reminder that within the same molecules that once carried errors lies the capacity for repair, a testament to the self-correcting intelligence of life, guided by human hands. Tissue engineering, too, belongs to biotechnology's expanding domain. By combining living cells with biomaterials, scientists are now growing skin, cartilage, and even small organs for transplantation. These constructs are cultivated in carefully controlled environments, where temperature, humidity, and chemical composition mimic the conditions inside the human body. Over time, the cells organize themselves into structures that mirror natural tissues, forming networks of vessels and fibers that support life. The hope is that one day entire organs, hearts, kidneys, and livers may be grown from a patient's own cells, eliminating the need for donors and the risk of rejection. The process is both scientific and poetic, a modern echo of nature's own craftsmanship. Beyond its technical achievements, biotechnology carries deep philosophical significance. It compels us to see life not as something separate from technology, but as its collaborator. Each cell, each strand of DNA, is both a unit of biology and a source of information, a pattern that can be read, understood, and gently rewritten, The ethical care required in this work is immense. To modify life's code is to touch something ancient and sacred, and so biotechnology must always walk in balance, guided by respect, humility, and the awareness that the power to shape life carries the responsibility to preserve it. The most thoughtful practitioners of this science understand that progress without compassion is empty, and that true healing comes only when discovery serves harmony. As biotechnology continues to evolve, its reach grows ever more subtle. Personalized medicine now uses genetic information to tailor treatments to individual patients. Biopharmaceuticals are crafted to match the body's own proteins so closely that they blend seamlessly into its systems. Even artificial intelligence plays a role, analyzing genetic sequences and cellular patterns to accelerate discovery. Each advancement brings us closer to a vision of medicine that is not imposed upon the body but arises from its own language. A medicine that listens before it speaks. There is something deeply moving in the idea that healing can be achieved not through the conquest of nature but through partnership with it. In every biotechnological innovation, there exists a trace of that partnership. A gene borrowed from a microbe, a protein shaped by evolution, a reaction perfected by the chemistry of life. The laboratories where this work takes place are, in a sense, continuations of nature's own workshop. Glass vessels and sterile instruments replace soil and sunlight, but the processes remain the same: growth, adaptation, and renewal. As evening falls and the hum of laboratory equipment continues softly through the night, cells divide, DNA replicates, and proteins fold into their destined shapes. Life, in miniature, carries on within these vessels, as it has for billions of years, unaware of the human hope it now serves. Biotechnology, at its deepest level, is a conversation between the ancient and the new, between the wisdom of evolution and the curiosity of thought. It reminds us that science does not stand apart from life. It is one of its many expressions. In this quiet collaboration, the lines between invention and existence blur. What begins as a strand of DNA in a glass vial becomes a medicine that restores breath, movement, or sight. A single cell, guided by the logic of biology, becomes the seed of healing. Through biotechnology, the living world reveals its generosity once more, allowing us not only to survive but to participate in the same endless cycle of renewal. And in that partnership between human insight and the patient intelligence of life itself, we find the essence of biomedicine, not as domination, but as harmony, not as conquest, but as care. 12. The future of organ replacement. Within the silent chambers of the human body, each organ performs its own quiet symphony of survival. The heart keeps rhythm, the lungs breathe life into every cell, the kidneys filter and balance, and the liver restores equilibrium. Together they form a living orchestra in constant motion, each part dependent upon the others to sustain the whole. But when one of these instruments falters, the harmony of life can begin to fade. For much of history, such failure meant decline beyond repair. Yet biomedicine, with its growing understanding of living systems, has found ways to restore the melody. The science of organ replacement stands as one of humanity's most profound expressions of care, an attempt to borrow time, to extend vitality, and to reawaken the song of life. When silence threatens to fall, the story of organ replacement is, in many ways, a story of human compassion, guided by scientific wonder. The first attempts at transplantation were acts of daring imagination, born from the recognition that one body's loss might give another a second chance. Early experiments in the 20th century were fraught with failure, as the immune system rejected what it perceived as foreign. Yet each setback deepened understanding. With time came breakthroughs in immunology, surgical technique, and tissue preservation, transforming what was once impossible into reality. The first successful kidney transplant in 1954 marked a turning point, proving that a living organ could continue its work in a new host. Since then, Millions of lives have been extended through the generosity of donors and the steady refinement of biomedical science. Transplantation is both an act of science and an act of trust. Within hours, surgeons remove a failing organ, connect vessels, align tissues, and restore circulation. The moment blood begins to flow again through the transplanted structure is one of quiet awe, a sign that life, though interrupted, can resume. But this renewal does not happen without challenge. The immune system, vigilant by nature, often views the new organ as an intruder. Its cells recognize foreign proteins on the donor tissue and mount an attack. To prevent rejection, patients receive carefully balanced immunosuppressive drugs, which calm the immune system enough to accept the gift without leaving the body defenseless. These medicines represent one of biomedicine's most delicate achievements, maintaining harmony between protection and acceptance. Over the decades, the success of organ transplantation has inspired new questions. How can we ensure that every person who needs an organ receives one? How can we reduce dependence on human donors? And how might science help the body rebuild what it has lost? These questions have given rise to new frontiers in regenerative medicine, bioengineering, and synthetic biology, all converging toward a single goal: to create organs, not merely to replace them. One of the most promising paths toward this future lies in tissue engineering. By combining living cells with supportive frameworks known as scaffolds, scientists can guide the growth of structures that resemble natural organs. These scaffolds can be made from biodegradable materials or from decellularized organs, donor tissues carefully stripped of their original cells, leaving behind only the structural matrix. When new cells are seeded onto this framework, they grow and organize themselves according to the body's blueprint, gradually transforming the empty architecture into living tissue. Experiments with engineered bladders, blood vessels, and tracheas have already shown success, with some patients receiving transplants grown partly from their own cells. Each new step brings medicine closer to the vision of organs created on demand, personalized, compatible, and alive. Stem cell technology has added another layer of possibility. Because stem cells have the potential to become any type of cell in the body, they offer the foundation for regenerating complex tissues. Scientists have learned to guide these cells into forming miniature organs, or organoids, small but functional versions of hearts, kidneys, and brains that grow in laboratory conditions. While too small to replace full organs, organoids serve as living models for studying disease, testing treatments, and refining the principles of growth and organization. They show that life, when given the right conditions, naturally tends toward order and function. The challenge now is scaling these systems, nurturing them into full-sized organs capable of integration into the human body. Another frontier lies in xenotransplantation, the use of animal organs as temporary or permanent replacements for human ones. Pigs, whose organs are similar in size and function to ours, have become key partners in this research. Through genetic engineering, scientists are now able to modify pig DNA, removing or altering the genes that trigger human immune rejection. Early trials have shown encouraging results, with transplanted hearts and kidneys functioning in human recipients for extended periods. Though ethical and biological challenges remain, this work offers a glimpse of a world where the shortage of donor organs may finally be overcome. Each step forward in this field is guided by caution and care, for the goal is not to cross boundaries recklessly, but to find safe and compassionate ways to extend life while honoring the integrity of all living beings involved. At the same time, bioprinting, the use of 3D printing technology to create living tissue, is redefining what organ replacement could mean. By layering bioinks composed of living cells and supportive materials, scientists can craft structures that mirror the intricate patterns of natural organs. Each print is guided by digital blueprints derived from imaging scans, ensuring perfect alignment with the patient's own anatomy. Blood vessels, muscle fibers, and connective tissues can all be printed in precise arrangements, providing the foundation for fully functional organs. While printing a complete heart or liver remains a goal of the future, smaller constructs, such as patches for damaged heart tissue or segments of bone, have already become reality. The artistry of this process lies in its respect for life's design, building not from the outside in, but from the cell upward, just as nature does. As these technologies evolve, they raise profound questions about identity and continuity. When an organ is replaced, whether by donation, regeneration, or fabrication, the body changes, yet the person remains the same. The continuity of consciousness persists through renewal, suggesting that identity lies not in individual parts but in the unbroken flow of life itself. Organ replacement thus becomes not only a medical act but a philosophical one, touching the boundaries between self and other, between the natural and the created. It reveals that the human form, though fragile, is also endlessly adaptable, capable of incorporating the new while remaining whole. The future of organ replacement may one day blur the line between healing and enhancement. Artificial organs could surpass natural limits, becoming more efficient, more durable, even self-repairing. Smart implants might communicate wirelessly with external monitors, reporting on health and adjusting performance in real time. Yet even as technology grows in sophistication, the essence of the work remains the same: to sustain life, to relieve suffering, to restore harmony where it has been lost. Each innovation, no matter how advanced, echoes the same compassion that guided the first transplant surgeon, the same reverence for the living system that makes existence possible. Perhaps the most extraordinary aspect of this future is not its technology, but its humanity. The gift of an organ, whether from another person, a laboratory, or an engineered source, is ultimately a gesture of connection, a recognition that life is shared. Every transplanted heart beats with the memory of another. Every engineered tissue carries the wisdom of biology passed through generations. In this way, organ replacement is not only about survival, but about the continuation of a shared story, one that links all living beings in a chain of renewal. As night settles over hospitals and laboratories, machines hum softly, preserving organs, nurturing cells, maintaining the delicate conditions where life can begin again. Surgeons rest, scientists record results, and somewhere a patient dreams of the breath or heartbeat that will return to them with the dawn. The future of organ replacement is unfolding quietly in these moments, in the merging of biology and compassion, in the science that listens to the pulse of life and learns how to help it endure. In the end, the goal of this work is not immortality, but balance, the gentle restoration of function, the continuation of rhythm, the reaffirmation that even when part of the body fails, the whole can still sing. Through the hands of those who study, design, and heal, biomedicine carries forward an ancient truth: that life, given care and understanding, always finds a way to continue. In the science of organ replacement, we see that truth made visible: the quiet persistence of the living world, endlessly rebuilding itself, endlessly striving toward wholeness. 13. The nervous system and neural repair. Threaded through every living body is a network of quiet electricity, a shimmering web of cells through which thought, movement, and feeling flow. It begins in the brain, the soft and complex organ that governs awareness, and extends outward through the spinal cord and the countless nerves that reach into every muscle, every fingertip, every breath. This is the nervous system, the body's living circuitry, the silent bridge between perception and action, between inner world and outer reality. Within its pathways, electrical impulses travel faster than lightning, carrying signals that let us see, hear, move, and dream. And yet, despite its power, the nervous system is delicate. When its fragile connections are broken, the harmony of being can falter, leaving silence where there was once motion, darkness where there was once light. The science of neural repair seeks to restore that connection, to help the body remember how to speak its own electrical language once more. For centuries, the brain and nerves were regarded as mysteries too sacred to touch. The heart could be described, the muscles understood, but the seat of consciousness lay beyond reach. Early anatomists mapped the brain's structure but could not comprehend how its tissue created thought. Even less could they imagine repairing it. When nerves were severed or the spinal cord injured, the resulting paralysis was seen as final. The nervous system seemed to lack the regenerative powers found elsewhere in the body. A cut on the skin would heal, a bone would mend. But the pathways of neurons, once destroyed, did not regrow. Yet nature, in its quiet complexity, rarely speaks in absolutes. Over time, scientists began to see traces of resilience, signs that, under the right conditions, the nervous system could renew itself, if only faintly. Neurons, the primary cells of the nervous system, are extraordinary in both form and function. Each one extends delicate branches, dendrites, to receive signals, and a long filament called an axon to send them. Together, they form vast networks, communicating through pulses of electricity and chemical messengers, called neurotransmitters. A single thought or movement may involve millions of these signals firing in precise coordination. But this complexity makes neurons uniquely vulnerable. When their axons are damaged, the connection between brain and body can be lost, as if the circuit has been severed. In the central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord regeneration is limited, constrained by the presence of scar tissue and inhibitory molecules that prevent growth. The challenge of neural repair lies in teaching these cells how to reconnect, to bridge the gaps that injury or disease has created. Biomedicine approaches this challenge through a blend of patience and imagination. One of the earliest and most hopeful discoveries was that some parts of the brain can indeed form new neurons, even in adulthood. In regions such as the hippocampus, which governs memory, neural stem cells continue to divide and differentiate throughout life. This capacity, though modest, offers a window into the brain's hidden adaptability. Scientists now work to awaken and guide this potential, using molecular signals to encourage dormant cells to grow and integrate into existing networks. The dream is not only to replace lost neurons, but to restore the intricate patterns of connection that define thought and movement. In the realm of the peripheral nervous system, the vast network of nerves outside the brain and spinal cord repair has proven more achievable. When a peripheral nerve is injured, its axons can regrow, following pathways laid down by supportive cells known as Schwann cells. These glial cells form protective tubes that guide the regenerating fibers back toward their targets, helping the body rebuild communication over time. Surgeons have learned to assist this process by carefully aligning nerve endings, sometimes using tiny grafts or biodegradable conduits. To bridge the gap, recovery may be slow, but with guidance, sensation and motion can return. This natural ability has inspired countless studies into how similar regeneration might be encouraged within the central nervous system, where such repair is far less complete. To support this, biomedical research has turned toward biomaterials and cellular engineering. Scaffolds made from biocompatible polymers or natural substances like collagen can be implanted at injury sites, providing both physical support and chemical cues for nerve growth. Within these scaffolds, stem cells or growth factors are often embedded, releasing signals that attract neurons and stimulate repair. Some materials are designed to dissolve gradually, leaving behind newly formed tissue that integrates seamlessly with its surroundings. Others incorporate microscopic channels or electrical conductors, helping guide the direction of axon growth and restore the flow of impulses across damaged regions. Each of these innovations reflects the same principle that healing the nervous system requires both structure and signal, both stability and subtle communication. Neural prosthetics represent another extraordinary avenue of recovery. These are devices designed to interface directly with the nervous system, translating thought into movement or sensation into signal. Brain-computer interfaces, for example, allow individuals with paralysis to control robotic limbs or computers using only their intentions. Tiny electrodes placed on the surface of the brain detect patterns of neural activity, which are then decoded by algorithms into commands. Over time, users learn to refine their control, and the technology learns to interpret their thoughts more precisely. The connection becomes almost seamless, a dialogue between mind and machine that echoes the body's own internal language. In some cases, feedback systems have been added, allowing artificial limbs to transmit sensations of touch back to the nervous system, closing the loop of perception and action once again. Even as technology offers ways to compensate for lost function, biomedicine continues to seek true biological repair. Stem cell therapies hold immense promise in this regard. By introducing stem cells into damaged regions of the brain or spinal cord, scientists hope to replace lost neurons and restore connectivity. Early studies have shown that transplanted cells can survive, integrate, and even begin to form new circuits. The challenge lies not only in generating the right types of neurons, but in ensuring that they connect appropriately, that they learn the symphony of signals required for coordinated function. Yet each small success brings the vision closer, a step toward a future where paralysis might no longer be permanent, and memory loss might be reversible. Neuroplasticity, the brain's inherent ability to reorganize itself, plays a vital role in recovery. Even when direct repair is impossible, the brain can adapt, rerouting functions through alternate pathways. Rehabilitation and therapy harness this adaptability, using repetition and training to strengthen new connections. This process is slow and often invisible, yet beneath the surface, neurons are reaching toward one another, forming new bonds, rewriting the map of experience. Biomedicine, in studying neuroplasticity, learns not only how to aid the process, but how to respect it, to provide conditions in which the brain's quiet intelligence can reawaken its own potential for healing. Diseases that affect the nervous system, such as Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and multiple sclerosis, pose some of the greatest challenges in modern medicine. In these conditions, neurons deteriorate gradually, their networks unraveling over years. Biotechnology and neuropharmacology now seek to slow or reverse these processes by protecting neurons, replacing lost cells, and modulating the brain's chemical environment. Gene therapies deliver instructions that help cells produce protective proteins. Nanomedicine brings drugs directly to affected areas. Deep brain stimulation uses electrical impulses to restore balance to disrupted circuits. Each of these approaches reflects a growing harmony between biology and technology, a convergence of knowledge aimed at preserving the most intricate system known to life. There is quiet poetry in the pursuit of neural repair. To restore a lost movement, a forgotten memory, or the spark of perception is to touch the essence of human experience. The nervous system is not only the seat of function, it is the foundation of identity, the mirror of our inner world. When biomedicine works to heal it, it does more than restore ability, it restores the continuity of self. In the faint electrical hum of a recovering neuron, in the tentative first movement after paralysis, there is both science and grace, both precision and hope. As night falls and the mind drifts into sleep, the nervous system continues its endless conversation. Neurons fire in soft rhythm, memories consolidate, and the body finds equilibrium in the darkness. Within this quiet flow, biomedicine listens and learns, striving to understand how thought and motion arise, and how they might be restored when interrupted. The science of neural repair, still young, is guided by patience, a recognition that the brain, with all its mysteries, will reveal its secrets only to those who approach it gently. In this delicate work, we see the union of empathy and intellect, of the measurable and the mysterious. The nervous system, with its infinite complexity, reminds us that healing is not only a physical process, but an awakening of connection, the reweaving of pathways between body and mind, self and world. And in that reweaving, whether through a regenerated cell, a guiding scaffold, or an artificial signal bridging the gap, the light of consciousness finds its way back, restoring motion, sensation, and the quiet miracle of being alive. 14. The microbiome and internal balance. Within the quiet interior of the human body lives an entire universe, a world so vast and active that it could almost be considered another organ of its own. This is the microbiome, the community of trillions of microscopic organisms that dwell within and upon us. Invisible to the naked eye, these tiny life forms outnumber human cells by the tens of trillions and include bacteria, viruses, fungi, and archaea. They live in the folds of our skin, the lining of our intestines, the moist recesses of our lungs, and even the delicate tissues of our eyes. Far from being invaders, they are our companions, forming a living ecosystem that helps shape digestion, immunity, and even our thoughts. The microbiome is not merely a presence within us, it is part of us, woven into our biology in ways that blur the boundaries between self and other. For much of history, microbes were seen only as enemies, the cause of disease, infection, and decay. The discoveries of early microbiologists like Pasteur and Koch revealed their role in sickness, but it took generations more for science to realize that most microbes do not harm us at all. Many, in fact, protect and sustain us. Over time, our species and these microscopic allies have evolved together in delicate partnership. Every breath, every meal, every touch shapes this hidden population, and in return, it shapes us. The microbiome is both mirror and mediator of our internal balance, a living reflection of our environment and habits. Nowhere is this relationship more profound than in the human gut. The intestines, long regarded as simple organs of digestion, are in truth a complex landscape of life. Within their folds live thousands of species of bacteria, each playing its own quiet role in maintaining health. Some break down complex carbohydrates into energy, others produce vitamins like K and B12, and still others help regulate inflammation and protect against harmful microbes. Together, they form a living chemistry that supports not only digestion but the immune system, the metabolism, and even the brain. The gut is sometimes called the second brain, not merely because of its dense network of nerves, but because of the profound influence its microbial residents have on mood and cognition. Communication between the gut and the brain flows through a biological pathway known as the gut-brain axis. Through nerves, hormones, and chemical messengers, the microbiome can influence the central nervous system, affecting everything from stress responses to emotional states. Certain bacteria produce neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine, which the body uses to regulate mood and behavior. In this way, our emotional balance is linked to our microbial balance. A disruption in one can ripple quietly into the other. This connection has become a cornerstone of modern biomedicine, offering new perspectives on mental health, immune regulation, and the subtle symphony that unites body and mind. Biomedicine approaches the microbiome not as an external force to control, but as an ecosystem to understand and support. Each person's microbial composition is unique, shaped by genetics, diet, lifestyle, and environment. This individuality means that health cannot always be defined in absolute terms. Rather, it exists as a state of harmony within each personal microbiological landscape. When balance is lost through illness, poor diet, or overuse of antibiotics, the effects can spread widely. An imbalance in gut flora, known as dysbiosis, has been linked to inflammatory diseases, allergies, metabolic disorders, and even neurological conditions. Restoring that balance becomes an act of renewal, a way of re-establishing the quiet communication between the host and its unseen inhabitants. In this pursuit, probiotics and prebiotics have become important tools. Probiotics are live, beneficial microorganisms that can help replenish the body's natural flora, while prebiotics are the fibers and nutrients that nourish them. When introduced thoughtfully, these elements can help restore equilibrium within the gut, encouraging the return of diversity and stability. Foods such as yogurt, kefir, and fermented vegetables, long valued in traditional diets, embody this principle. They provide living cultures that join the body's internal ecosystem, reinforcing its defenses and improving its function. Biomedicine continues to study these relationships with increasing precision, mapping how each strain of bacteria interacts with human tissue, and how these interactions might be harnessed to prevent or treat disease. The understanding of the microbiome has expanded beyond digestion to touch nearly every aspect of physiology. In the immune system, microbes act as early teachers, training immune cells to distinguish between friend and foe. Infants born through natural childbirth, for example, inherit their first major population of microbes from their mothers, a gift that helps shape immune development. Throughout life, the microbiome continues to influence how the immune system responds, modulating inflammation, preventing autoimmunity, and protecting against infection. This subtle education keeps the body from overreacting to harmless stimuli, while maintaining readiness against true threats. It is a balance maintained through constant dialogue, a conversation between human and microbial cells that never truly ends. The skin, too, is home to its own microbial world. The skin microbiome forms a protective barrier against external invaders, occupying space that harmful bacteria might otherwise claim. It also contributes to the skin's health by maintaining pH and supporting the immune defenses of the surface. In recent years, dermatological science has begun to recognize how disturbances to this community, from excessive sterilization or harsh treatments, can lead to conditions such as eczema, acne, and sensitivity. Restoring the skin's natural microbial diversity is now seen as an essential part of maintaining its health. The same principle applies to the lungs, mouth, and other tissues, once thought to be sterile. Everywhere the body exists, microbial life accompanies it. In medicine, the recognition of the microbiome's role has inspired innovative treatments. Fecal microbiota transplantation, a procedure in which a healthy person's intestinal microbes are introduced into another's, has shown remarkable success in treating infections caused by Clostridioides difficile, a bacterium that can overwhelm the gut after antibiotic use. By restoring microbial diversity, this therapy rebalances the ecosystem and allows natural defenses to return. Beyond infection, researchers are exploring how such microbial modulation might treat inflammatory bowel disease, obesity, and even depression. Each discovery deepens the understanding that health is not merely the absence of disease, but the presence of harmony. A harmony that includes the smallest forms of life within us. The microbiome also reminds biomedicine that the human body is not an isolated system, but part of a greater web. The microbes we host come from the soil, the air, the food we eat, and the people we meet. Each interaction, a breath, a touch, a shared meal shapes our internal world as surely as it shapes the outer one. This interconnection suggests that caring for one's health extends beyond the individual. It involves nurturing the environments and ecosystems that sustain all life. Clean water, diverse diets, and contact with nature support not only the planet's balance, but our own inner balance as well. There is something profoundly humbling in realizing that human well-being depends upon creatures so small they cannot be seen. The microbiome is a living testament to cooperation, an ancient alliance between countless species, each contributing its quiet part to the whole. It challenges the idea of separateness, reminding us that even our most intimate processes, digestion, immunity, thought, are shared endeavors between ourselves and the microscopic life that accompanies us. In nurturing these relationships, we nurture ourselves. As night falls and the body settles into rest, the microbiome remains awake. Within the stillness, bacterial colonies continue to exchange nutrients, communicate through chemical signals, and maintain the balance that sustains life. The gut processes the day's nourishment, the immune system refines its vigilance, and the body's internal world hums with unseen activity. In that silence, the microbiome performs its timeless work, a collaboration as old as humanity itself. Biomedicine, in turning its gaze to this hidden world, learns not only how to treat illness but how to listen, how to observe the subtle symphonies that keep us whole. The future of medicine may depend as much on fostering these relationships as on developing new technologies. For in the end, the most advanced form of healing may not be control but coexistence, the quiet art of balance between human and microbe, body and world, self and life itself. 15. Aging and the biology of time. Time moves through the human body as gently as wind across the surface of water, shaping it in ways so gradual they are almost imperceptible. With each passing year, cells divide and renew, tissues rebuild and adapt. Yet beneath this ceaseless motion lies a slow transformation. The face changes, the muscles soften, the senses deepen and quieten. Aging is not a single event, but an unfolding process, a subtle dialogue between wear and repair, between loss and persistence. Biomedicine, in studying this rhythm, seeks not to defy time but to understand it, to learn how the body balances the art of endurance with the inevitability of change. Every living thing carries within it a measure of time. Cells, the smallest units of life, are born, grow, and eventually reach a point where their renewal slows. In youth, repair easily keeps pace with damage. DNA is mended, proteins are replaced, and tissues are refreshed. But as the years accumulate, the equilibrium shifts. Each replication of a cell's genetic code introduces the possibility of small errors. Each breath brings both oxygen and the reactive molecules that accompany it. Gradually, the body begins to bear the signature of its own experience. This is not decay but memory, the biological record of a life lived. Aging, in essence, is the accumulation of that record, written in every cell and organ. At the heart of this process lies the molecule that defines continuity, DNA. It carries the instructions for building and maintaining every part of the body. Yet it is not immune to the passage of time. Environmental factors, ultraviolet light, and even normal metabolism create damage in the strands of DNA each day. Fortunately, the body possesses remarkable systems of repair, enzymes that patrol the genome and mend breaks with meticulous precision. Over decades, however, these systems lose efficiency. Mutations accumulate, and the orchestration of cellular function becomes less precise. Some cells enter a state called senescence, a kind of permanent rest, no longer dividing but still alive, sending signals that influence their neighbors. In small numbers, these cells play helpful roles in wound healing, but as they gather with age, they can contribute to inflammation and tissue decline. Thus, aging is not simply the wearing out of parts, but the gradual imbalance between renewal and rest. Another element of biological time is found in the ends of chromosomes, the telomeres. These protective caps shorten each time a cell divides, marking the rhythm of its lifespan. When they become too short, the cell can no longer replicate safely and enters senescence or self-destruction. This mechanism is both protective and limiting. It prevents uncontrolled growth but sets a boundary on regeneration. Research in biomedicine has revealed that certain enzymes, such as telomerase, can extend these telomeres, granting cells more time to divide. In some tissues, particularly those that regenerate frequently, this activity is naturally higher. Scientists now explore how to safely modulate this system to maintain cellular youth without tipping the balance toward disease. It is a delicate pursuit, for time and health are intertwined. To slow one without harming the other requires wisdom as much as technique. Beyond the level of the cell, aging touches the grander systems of the body. The heart and vessels gradually lose elasticity. The bones trade density for lightness. The skin's fibers loosen and thin. Yet these changes are not failures of design but adaptations to a long existence. The slowing of metabolism, the softening of muscle, the quieting of hormonal rhythms, each serves to conserve energy, to shift the body's focus from rapid growth to maintenance and endurance. The mind, too, evolves in its own way, trading sharp immediacy for reflection, the quickness of reaction for depth of understanding. Biomedicine studies these transitions not to reverse them entirely, but to support them, to ease the friction of time so that aging becomes a graceful continuation rather than a struggle. One of the most remarkable findings in recent years is that many of the processes that drive aging are modifiable. The shortening of telomeres, the buildup of senescent cells, the accumulation of oxidative damage, all can be influenced by environment, lifestyle, and, increasingly, by targeted therapies. Antioxidants, once only dietary, are now being refined into compounds that seek out specific molecular stressors. Senolytic drugs are designed to remove aging cells selectively, reducing inflammation and allowing tissues to renew. Caloric restriction, long associated with longevity in animals, has shown molecular benefits that mimic the effects of youthful metabolism. These discoveries reveal that aging is not simply fate, but a balance between genetics and behavior, between the inevitability of time and the choices of daily life. Mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell, also play a central role in this story. They generate the energy required for all bodily processes, converting nutrients into life's vital current. But over the years, their efficiency wanes. Damaged mitochondria produce more reactive oxygen species, which can harm surrounding molecules and accelerate decline. Biomedicine seeks to rejuvenate these engines of vitality through targeted therapies, molecules that restore mitochondrial function, enhance energy production, and reduce oxidative stress. By supporting the body's energy at its smallest scale, these approaches aim to sustain the larger harmony of tissues and organs. Another emerging field, epigenetics, explores how aging is not merely the result of genetic wear but of changes in how genes are expressed. The DNA sequence remains constant, but the chemical tags that regulate it, methyl groups, histone modifications, and other subtle markers, shift with experience. These epigenetic changes form a biological record of time, reflecting diet, stress, and environment. Intriguingly, they are reversible. Experiments show that certain interventions, including lifestyle adjustments, medications, and even periods of fasting, can partially restore youthful gene expression. It is as if the symphony of life, slightly out of tune with age, can be gently retuned to bring back some of its original harmony. Still, aging is not merely a process to be studied. It is a part of being human. Each wrinkle, each slowing heartbeat, each softened tone of voice carries meaning. To live long is to accumulate not only physical change but wisdom, empathy, and continuity. The body remembers the world through its senses, the foods it has tasted, the places it has walked, the sunlight that has touched its skin. These experiences leave their marks as surely as any molecular alteration. In this sense, aging is not loss but transformation, the deepening of form and character over time. Biomedicine, in its most compassionate expression, seeks not to erase this transformation, but to preserve its vitality, to extend health, not merely lifespan, to ensure that time, while passing, remains kind. In studying the biology of aging, science has also begun to uncover pathways of renewal that persist even in later years. The human brain retains the ability to form new connections. Muscles respond to training long into life. Bones rebuild in response to movement. The very systems that seem to decline are also capable of rebirth when given the right stimuli. Exercise, sleep, nourishment, and mental engagement awaken these restorative mechanisms, reinforcing the notion that the body, at every age, is an active participant in its own renewal. The aim of biomedicine is to support this dialogue, to provide therapies that align with nature's rhythm rather than compete against it. In the quiet hours of the night, when the body rests and the day's noise recedes, the processes of maintenance continue. Cells repair damaged DNA, the brain clears away metabolic byproducts, and the heart adjusts its rhythm to a slower pace. This nocturnal restoration is one of life's great gifts, an ancient pattern repeated every night of every life. Within that cycle, aging and healing coexist, each shaping the other. The body is never still, even in rest. It is working to preserve balance against time's steady pull. To study the biology of aging, then, is to study time itself not as an enemy, but as a partner in the long story of life. Each moment of repair, each adaptation, each renewal reflects a compromise between endurance and change. The future of biomedicine may hold ways to slow this passage, to extend the vitality of youth without denying the grace of age. Yet even then, the beauty of time will remain the quiet unfolding of years, the strength found in fragility, the wisdom written softly in the fabric of being. And so, as the body drifts into sleep, the clock of life continues its gentle ticking, not as a countdown but as a rhythm, the same rhythm that began before birth and will continue, in memory and legacy, long after the final breath. In every cell that divides, in every heartbeat that persists, there is the echo of that enduring truth. That time, though it shapes us, also carries us forward, and that within its steady passage, life continues to repair, renew, and begin again. 16. Artificial intelligence in modern biomedicine. In the gentle progression of science, there are moments when knowledge expands in unexpected ways, when the tools we create begin not only to serve us but to think alongside us. In the landscape of modern biomedicine, this moment has arrived through the quiet emergence of artificial intelligence. Once a distant dream of computation, AI has become a companion to discovery, a silent observer that learns from the immense complexity of life. It does not replace the human mind, but extends it, weaving patterns out of the vastness of biological data, revealing connections too subtle or numerous for any one person to perceive. Within its circuits and algorithms, there grows a new kind of intelligence, analytical, yet patient, logical, yet adaptive, one that stands at the crossroads of human intuition and machine precision, helping medicine understand the body in ways that were once impossible. At its essence, artificial intelligence in biomedicine is an act of listening. The body speaks in many languages: chemical, electrical, genetic, and each produces vast rivers of information. Every heartbeat recorded, every genetic sequence decoded, every medical image captured adds to this growing sea of data. The human mind, though capable of insight, cannot absorb such immensity alone. AI, however, thrives in this abundance. Through algorithms that learn from examples, it can find order in apparent chaos, recognizing the faint signals that point toward disease, health, or healing. It reads what was once unreadable, allowing science to see patterns where there once seemed only noise. One of the first and most transformative uses of AI in biomedicine lies in diagnostics. Medical imaging from X-rays to MRI scans contains a wealth of detail that even trained eyes may overlook. By training on millions of such images, AI systems have learned to detect subtle variations that mark the earliest signs of illness. A shadow that may indicate a tumor, a pattern in the lungs that predicts infection, a faint irregularity in a heartbeat recorded by an electrocardiogram. These systems do not tire, do not rush, and do not forget. They serve as companions to physicians, offering quiet second opinions, guiding the human gaze toward what matters most. In this partnership, error is reduced, time is saved, and lives are quietly protected. Beyond imaging, AI has become a central force in understanding genetics and molecular biology. The human genome, with its billions of letters, holds within it the blueprint of life and the potential origins of countless diseases. Decoding that blueprint once took years. Now, with AI, the interpretation of genetic data happens in moments. Algorithms can identify mutations linked to inherited disorders, predict how they alter proteins, and even suggest possible treatments. In the vast world of molecular interactions, where proteins fold and bind, where drugs seek their targets, AI serves as both map and guide. It simulates the behavior of molecules, testing in silico what would take months or years to study in the laboratory. Through this, the process of drug discovery accelerates, allowing medicine to move from idea to therapy with a grace that mirrors the efficiency of nature itself. In hospitals and clinics, AI quietly assists in ways that often go unseen. Electronic health records, once overwhelming in their complexity, can now be analyzed to predict outcomes and guide care. By learning from patterns in countless patient histories, algorithms can forecast the likelihood of complications, suggest personalized treatment plans, or detect early warning signs that might otherwise be missed. For doctors, this is not a surrender of judgment but an expansion of perspective, a way to see their patients not as isolated cases, but as part of a broader, data-rich tapestry of human health. The aim is not to replace the art of medicine but to deepen it, allowing compassion and technology to coexist in balance. AI also plays a growing role in the development of personalized medicine, where treatment is tailored to the unique biology of each individual. Every person's genetic code, environment, and lifestyle combine to create a distinct pattern of health and susceptibility. Artificial intelligence learns from these patterns, comparing them to millions of others to find what therapies might work best, what side effects might arise, and what outcomes might follow. It transforms the one-size-fits-all approach of the past into something intimate and specific. Through this, medicine becomes not only more precise but more humane, attentive to the individual rather than the average, to the person rather than the condition. Even within the laboratories where life is studied at its smallest scales, AI lends its quiet assistance. In cellular imaging, it helps researchers track how cells grow, divide, and respond to stimuli. In pharmacology, it helps design molecules that fit their biological targets with perfect symmetry. In neurology, it models the complex signaling of the brain, revealing patterns of connectivity that reflect thought and emotion. Each of these uses brings science closer to understanding the intricate design of life, not through force, but through recognition, through learning that mirrors the adaptability of nature itself. Perhaps one of the most profound contributions of artificial intelligence lies in its role as a teacher. By observing the data of millions, it often discovers correlations that challenge human assumptions. It reveals that diseases thought to be distinct may share molecular roots, that treatments designed for one condition might help another, that environmental factors once dismissed may quietly shape long-term health. Through these discoveries, AI reminds science of its most important quality, humility. Knowledge grows not by certainty but by curiosity, by the willingness to listen to what the data reveals, even when it surprises us. Yet for all its power, AI remains only as wise as its creators allow. It learns from human data, from our observations, our measurements, and our biases. If care is not taken, it can inherit those biases, amplifying inequalities rather than healing them. Thus, biomedicine approaches artificial intelligence with both excitement and caution. The technology's success depends on transparency, fairness, and the careful stewardship of information. Just as the physician must practice empathy, so must the algorithm be trained in equity, guided not by profit or speed, but by the quiet ethic of care that defines medicine itself. In the realm of biomedicine, artificial intelligence is also helping us explore the boundaries of life itself. By modeling the processes of aging, predicting disease progression, and simulating cellular environments, it offers new perspectives on how to extend health and vitality. In regenerative medicine, AI analyzes the conditions that guide stem cells towards specific fates, helping to grow tissues with precision. In epidemiology, it predicts the spread of infection, guiding public health decisions that protect communities. Even in the study of emotions and cognition, AI is revealing how the patterns of the brain mirror those of learning machines, a reflection of how nature and technology, though born of different origins, follow similar principles of adaptation and memory. The future of artificial intelligence in medicine is not one of domination, but of collaboration. The physician's intuition, the researcher's insight, and the patient's lived experience remain irreplaceable. AI's role is to weave them together to form a larger understanding that neither human nor machine could achieve alone. In this partnership, data becomes wisdom, and precision becomes compassion. The machines do not feel, but they illuminate the paths that lead us to better care, deeper understanding, and a gentler relationship with the body's mysteries. As night falls across hospitals and laboratories, screens glow softly, running simulations, scanning images, analyzing streams of data. The hum of processors joins the quiet rhythm of life support machines, both working in harmony to preserve and restore. Somewhere, an algorithm identifies the first trace of disease long before symptoms appear. Elsewhere, another designs a molecule that will ease a pain or save a life. And in the stillness beyond these acts, the purpose remains unchanged: to heal, to understand, to bring light into the hidden corners of the human body. Artificial intelligence, for all its complexity, is a continuation of the same impulse that has always guided medicine: the desire to see clearly, to act wisely, and to care deeply. It does not seek to replace the human heart or hand, but to strengthen them. In its quiet calculations, it reflects our own search for meaning, an echo of human curiosity shaped into code. And in that reflection lies a profound truth: that even the most advanced technologies, when guided by empathy and humility, become part of life's ongoing story. The story of how science learns not only to repair the body, but to understand the beauty of being alive within time's gentle flow. 17. The ethics of healing, boundaries of biomedicine. Beneath the quiet brilliance of every medical discovery lies a question older than science itself. Not simply can we heal in this way, but should we? As biomedicine advances deeper into the intricate designs of life, it reaches places once thought sacred, where the boundaries between care and control, aid and alteration, begin to blur. The pursuit of healing, noble and necessary, carries with it an immense responsibility. For to touch the mechanisms of life is to hold both its fragility and its potential in one's hands. Ethics, in this sense, is not an external rule but a heartbeat that keeps medicine alive, reminding every practitioner and every scientist that compassion must remain the foundation upon which discovery stands. The ethical questions that guide biomedicine are as delicate as the systems it studies. Each new tool, from genetic editing to artificial intelligence, deepens humanity's capacity to heal, but also broadens the horizon of what can be changed. The same techniques that cure genetic disease could, in theory, alter the traits of future generations. The same devices that restore lost senses might someday enhance those who are already healthy. The same data that predicts illness could, if misused, compromise privacy or dignity. These are not the inventions of fiction, but the living realities of the modern laboratory. To work in this space is to balance progress with prudence, to ask at every step not only what can be done, but what serves the harmony of life itself. The roots of medical ethics stretch far into history. Ancient physicians understood that healing required restraint as much as intervention. The Hippocratic Oath, though centuries old, still whispers its wisdom to do no harm, to respect the patient's autonomy, to act with beneficence and justice. These principles have not aged, they have merely expanded. In the age of biomedicine, where treatments reach into the genetic code and consciousness itself, the same spirit endures, to protect life from carelessness, to ensure that science serves humanity and not the other way around. Ethics, therefore, is not an obstacle to discovery. It is its conscience. It ensures that the path of innovation remains aligned with the purpose of compassion. One of the most profound ethical frontiers lies in the realm of genetics. The ability to edit DNA through tools like CRISPR has opened doors once locked by nature itself. It offers the chance to cure diseases that have haunted families for generations, to correct inherited errors at their source, and to bring health where suffering has long prevailed. Yet it also raises questions about the limits of such power. Where does healing end and enhancement begin? If we can choose to remove disease, might we also choose to alter appearance, intelligence, or emotion? The line between therapy and design is a thin one, and its crossing could reshape humanity in ways we are only beginning to imagine. Ethical guidance here is not about prohibition, but reflection, ensuring that every alteration honors the integrity of life, that the intention remains one of restoration, not perfection. Similarly, in the field of artificial intelligence, the question of responsibility grows ever more intricate. When an algorithm advises a diagnosis or predicts a treatment, who bears the weight of that decision? The machine that calculated it, or the physician who applies it? As AI becomes more autonomous, capable of interpreting data and guiding interventions, medicine must remember that wisdom cannot be programmed. The role of the human healer remains irreplaceable, for empathy, judgment, and moral awareness cannot be measured in equations. The machine may learn patterns, but it cannot feel the pulse of suffering or the quiet relief of recovery. Ethical biomedicine ensures that technology remains an instrument of care, never its master. Another delicate question arises in the sharing of information. Modern medicine thrives on data genomes, medical histories, imaging, and behavioral patterns, all gathered to reveal the truths of health and disease. Yet each piece of data belongs to a person, carrying the imprint of identity and privacy. To use such information wisely requires transparency, consent, and trust. When handled with respect, it becomes a source of healing for all. When exploited, it becomes a breach of the very principle that defines medicine. Thus, the ethics of biomedicine are not confined to laboratories, but extend into hospitals, networks, and the digital spaces where human lives intersect with technology. Even in the field of organ transplantation, where the gift of one life sustains another, ethics weaves through every decision. The act of donation embodies humanity's highest generosity, yet it also demands fairness and sensitivity. Who receives an organ when there are many in need? How is death defined in the moment when life is transferred? These are questions that science alone cannot answer. They require empathy, culture, and philosophy, a recognition that every medical act touches not just bodies but families, communities, and beliefs. Biomedicine must remain aware that healing takes place within a web of meaning, not just within the boundaries of physiology. The same holds true for end-of-life care. As medicine extends life, it must also respect its natural conclusion. Ethical practice demands that prolonging existence does not become an end in itself, that comfort and dignity remain central when cure is no longer possible. In these moments, the healer's role transforms from repairing the body to accompanying the soul, from fighting death to easing its approach. This is where ethics meets compassion most directly, in recognizing when to act and when to let stillness be the final form of care. Biomedicine also faces ethical reflection in the realm of equity. The power to heal must not become a privilege limited to wealth or geography, yet access to advanced treatments often reflects global disparities. Some nations flourish in abundance, while others struggle with scarcity. The true measure of ethical progress lies not in how advanced a technology becomes, but in how widely it can be shared. A medicine that exists only for a few cannot fulfill the purpose of healing. Thus, the pursuit of justice ensuring that every human being, regardless of circumstance, can benefit from the fruits of scientific discovery, stands as one of the quiet pillars of biomedical ethics. At its most profound level, the ethics of healing asks medicine to remain humble before the mystery of life. For all its knowledge, biomedicine still moves within an ocean of the unknown. Every discovery opens new questions. Every answer reveals deeper complexity. Ethical reflection invites scientists and physicians to work not with certainty, but with reverence, to recognize that the body they study is not merely an organism, but a living narrative, shaped by experience, consciousness, and meaning. Healing, in its truest form, honors that narrative rather than rewriting it. As the day fades in research centers and hospital corridors, lights dim over microscopes and monitors. Somewhere, a patient whispers a word of thanks. Elsewhere, a scientist pauses over a discovery that might change a future life. Between them stands the quiet presence of ethics unseen, yet essential. The gentle reminder that science, no matter how advanced, must remain guided by empathy. The heart of medicine has always been human, and its boundaries must be drawn not by ambition but by care. The future of biomedicine will undoubtedly continue to test these boundaries. It will challenge humanity to balance innovation with restraint, to remember that healing is not simply the mastery of biology but the preservation of meaning. Each advancement, from gene editing to artificial organs, will require not only knowledge but conscience. The understanding that to heal responsibly is to act in harmony with the natural dignity of life. And so, as night deepens and the instruments of science rest, the moral rhythm of medicine continues quietly, steady as a pulse. The ethics of healing is not a set of restrictions, but a living compass, guiding discovery toward kindness, reminding every healer that the true power of biomedicine lies not in control, but in compassion, in the gentle promise that knowledge, when joined with care, can illuminate the fragile beauty of existence without ever diminishing its humanity. 18. Sleep, recovery, and the healing cycle. As day gives way to night, a subtle transformation begins within the body. Muscles loosen, the pulse slows, and the mind drifts from the sharp edges of consciousness into the soft rhythm of rest. This nightly surrender is not a pause in life, but a continuation of it, a quieter form of living, where the work of repair unfolds in silence. Sleep is the body's oldest medicine, a sacred rhythm that predates every scientific discovery. It is the invisible physician within, tending to wounds seen and unseen, restoring balance to the heart, the brain, and the soul. In the world of biomedicine, sleep stands not merely as a state of rest, but as one of the most intricate biological processes ever designed, where every cell participates in the delicate cycle of renewal. During waking hours, the body gathers experience. It endures movement, stress, hunger, emotion, and thought. Each of these leaves a trace, a pattern of activity in the brain, a fluctuation in the hormones, a strain in the muscles. Sleep is the moment when those traces are softened, reorganized, and translated into memory or healing. Beneath the stillness of a sleeping body lies an extraordinary choreography of restoration, heart rate and breathing slow, allowing the cardiovascular system to rest. Growth hormone and other repair signals surge, directing energy away from alertness and into regeneration. Immune cells circulate more freely, identifying and neutralizing potential threats. The body, in sleep, becomes a workshop of healing, working with quiet precision to preserve life's balance. The brain, perhaps more than any other organ, depends upon sleep for its recovery. While awake, it burns energy with remarkable intensity, processing sensory input and maintaining the continuous flow of awareness. But as consciousness fades, a different kind of activity begins. Neurons communicate in synchronized waves, and glial cells, the brain's caretakers, expand their role, clearing away metabolic waste that accumulates during the day. This process, often called the glymphatic system, acts as a cleansing river, flushing toxins and restoring chemical balance. Without it, thought grows sluggish, memory falters, and the subtle harmony of cognition begins to unravel. Thus, sleep is not an interruption of thought, but its renewal, the resetting of the mind's inner symphony. Dreaming, too, plays its mysterious part in this renewal. Within the theater of sleep, the brain replays fragments of experience, weaving them into symbolic narratives that defy waking logic. Though elusive in meaning, dreams serve a biological purpose. They help consolidate memory, process emotion, and integrate learning. What feels like imagination is in truth an act of organization, as the mind sorts through the noise of the day and arranges it into lasting order. Neuroscience shows that during rapid eye movement, or REM sleep, the brain's emotional centers remain highly active, suggesting that dreams are the body's way of making peace with its own experiences. In this sense, the sleeper is both patient and physician, both healer and healed, performing an ancient ritual of renewal that requires nothing but surrender to stillness. Sleep's influence extends beyond the brain. In every organ, circadian rhythms, internal clocks tuned to the cycle of light and darkness, guide the timing of repair. The liver detoxifies more efficiently, the skin renews its outer layer, and the heart rebalances its rhythm. These biological clocks are synchronized by light, by meal times, and by social cues, maintaining harmony between the body's systems and the world around it. When this rhythm is disrupted by irregular sleep, artificial light, or chronic stress, the effects ripple outward. Hormonal balance falters, immune function weakens, and inflammation rises. The body begins to lose its sense of time, and with it, its sense of balance. Restoring regularity to sleep is thus not simply a matter of habit, but of realigning the entire organism with the natural pulse of the planet itself. Biomedicine studies sleep with growing wonder. Technologies now allow scientists to measure brain waves, hormone levels, and neural activity throughout the night, mapping the architecture of rest. Sleep is not uniform. It flows through stages, from light drowsiness into the deep, slow waves of profound restoration, and then upward into the vivid landscapes of dreaming. Each stage serves a distinct purpose. Deep sleep restores the body's energy and repairs tissues, while REM sleep tends to the mind and emotions. The alternation between these states forms a cycle lasting about 90 minutes, repeated several times through the night, like a tide ebbing and flowing between the shores of body and mind. To sleep well is to complete this cycle undisturbed, to allow the full orchestra of biological repair to play its nocturnal music. Modern life, however, has made this simple act increasingly fragile. The hum of electricity, the glow of screens, the pull of unending activity, all conspire to shorten or fragment sleep. The consequences are subtle at first, but profound over time. Without adequate rest, the immune system weakens, memory falters, mood declines, and metabolism drifts toward imbalance. Chronic sleep deprivation has been linked to heart disease, diabetes, and even cognitive decline. In a world that celebrates wakefulness and productivity, the quiet necessity of sleep stands as a counterpoint, a reminder that true health requires both action and stillness, both effort and surrender. Yet even as sleep disorders become more common, biomedicine offers new insights into their treatment. Understanding the brain's sleep-wake circuitry has led to therapies that restore its natural rhythm. Light therapy, timed exposure to brightness, can reset the body's clock for those whose sleep drifts out of sync. Cognitive behavioral techniques help retrain the mind to release tension and return to rest. Medications, though sometimes necessary, are being refined to support the brain's natural chemistry rather than override it. But perhaps the most profound medicine remains the simplest, the quiet act of honoring sleep itself, of creating conditions for the body to do what it has always known how to do. In hospitals, this wisdom is finding renewed importance. Patients recovering from surgery or illness heal faster when their sleep is protected, when noise is softened, lights are dimmed, and care schedules respect the rhythm of night and day. The same is true for the caregivers themselves, whose well-being depends on rest no less than their patients. Biomedicine, in recognizing the role of sleep, rediscovers the ancient truth that healing is cyclical, that restoration requires time, darkness, and stillness as much as light, activity, and intervention. The most advanced technologies, when guided by this understanding, begin to reflect the same natural rhythm that beats quietly within every living thing. There is also something deeply poetic in the way sleep mirrors life itself. Each night, we let go of awareness, trusting the body to sustain us through the hours of unknowing. And each morning, we awaken, renewed. This daily cycle of disappearance and return echoes the larger cycles of growth and decline, of effort and rest, that define existence. In studying sleep, biomedicine glimpses the continuity of these patterns, the reassurance that healing is not an act we perform, but a state we enter. Just as the tides restore the shore without command, the body restores itself when allowed to drift into the natural rhythm of rest. As night deepens and the world grows still, countless bodies across the planet enter this shared state of repair. Hearts slow to the same quiet tempo, lungs draw the same measured breath, and in the silent language of cells, renewal unfolds. The mind may dream of distant places, but the body remains grounded in its timeless work, knitting itself whole again. In the soft pulse of that process lies the essence of all healing, not the struggle to conquer time, but the surrender to it, the acceptance that rest is as vital to life as motion. Sleep, recovery, and the healing cycle remind biomedicine of its oldest truth, that beneath the machinery of cells and circuits lies something older than science, the rhythm of being itself. To sleep is to return to that rhythm, to let the currents of life carry us back toward balance. In every restful breath, in every dream, the body remembers what it means to heal. And when morning comes, the light that touches the skin is not only the light of a new day, but the quiet confirmation that renewal, though unseen, has already taken place, that in the stillness of sleep, life has once again restored its fragile, enduring harmony. 19. The future of healing, integrating nature and science. The story of medicine has always been a dialogue between two great teachers, nature and knowledge. For millennia, human beings turned to the natural world for guidance, finding remedies in leaves, minerals, and the quiet wisdom of observation. Later, through science, we learned to understand the structure beneath the mystery, the molecular patterns that gave life its shape. Now, as biomedicine reaches a new stage in its evolution, these two paths are no longer separate. The future of healing lies in their integration, a synthesis of nature's timeless intelligence with the precision and clarity of modern science. It is a union that does not seek to control life, but to cooperate with it, allowing the rhythm of nature and the reasoning of science to move together toward the same gentle goal, the restoration of harmony within the human body and the world that sustains it. Nature, in its quiet complexity, has always been medicine's greatest teacher. Every plant, every organism, carries within it a story of adaptation, of learning to survive through balance. The bark of a willow tree once gave rise to aspirin. Mold on a forgotten plate became penicillin. Even the most sophisticated pharmaceuticals often begin with the chemistry of the natural world. Within forests, oceans, and soils, countless compounds lie undiscovered, each shaped by evolution to serve a purpose. Biomedicine's task in the coming years is to listen more carefully to this living archive, not to exploit it, but to learn from its design. By studying how nature heals itself, how wounds close, how ecosystems regenerate, we glimpse the same principles that guide human recovery. Already, fields such as biomimicry and bioengineering are translating these lessons into innovation. The structure of a lotus leaf inspires water-repellent medical materials. The web of a spider reveals models for surgical sutures stronger than steel. The self-cleaning patterns of shells and plants inform new methods of preventing bacterial growth. Even the rhythms of ecosystems, their cycles of renewal and decay, offer insight into the balance that must be maintained within the body. The future of healing may well depend on our willingness to observe these natural mechanisms not as curiosities, but as blueprints for resilience. Nature's language, once translated into scientific understanding, becomes the foundation for therapies that are both gentle and profound. At the same time, biomedicine has begun to rediscover what ancient healers always knew, that health is not confined to organs or cells, but extends to the environments in which we live. The air we breathe, the light we receive, the sounds we hear, and the food we eat all play roles in shaping our internal equilibrium. The boundary between ecology and medicine is dissolving, replaced by the realization that the well-being of the planet and the well-being of the human body are intertwined. Pollution, deforestation, and loss of biodiversity are not only environmental crises, they are biological ones. The immune system, the lungs, the heart all respond to the state of the earth. Thus, the integration of nature and science in healing is also a return to wholeness, a recognition that caring for the body and caring for the world are parts of the same act. The medicines of the future will likely reflect this interconnected view. Already, researchers are exploring natural compounds in new ways, refining them through biotechnology, enhancing their effectiveness while preserving their purity. Plants long used in traditional healing, such as turmeric, ginseng, and echinacea, are being studied not through folklore alone, but through molecular science, revealing the mechanisms by which they calm inflammation, strengthen immunity, or support regeneration. These discoveries do not diminish the wisdom of the past. They validate it, showing that the knowledge held by generations was rooted in genuine biological understanding. The role of biomedicine is to bridge these worlds, to translate the language of tradition into the evidence of modern science, and to return that understanding to humanity with clarity and care. Beyond chemistry, the future of healing also explores energy, the subtle exchanges that move through living systems. Every heartbeat, every nerve impulse, every breath is an act of electrical and chemical flow. The body is not static matter, but dynamic energy, constantly interacting with its surroundings. Technologies that measure and support these flows, from neural stimulation to bioelectronic medicine, are extending our capacity to guide healing without disruption. Even the study of light and sound, once dismissed as peripheral, is revealing therapeutic promise. Gentle light frequencies help wounds heal faster. Sound vibrations influence mood and cellular behavior. In these discoveries, science meets the ancient intuition that the forces of nature, light, rhythm, vibration, hold restorative power when aligned with balance. The integration of nature and science also extends to the spaces where healing takes place. Hospitals and clinics are being reimagined, not as sterile boxes, but as environments that nurture recovery. Natural light, air circulation, and even the presence of plants can accelerate healing, reducing stress and improving outcomes. This reflects an understanding that the human body responds not only to treatment but to atmosphere, that the mind and senses are partners in recovery. In the future, architecture and medicine may work together, designing environments where science and serenity coexist, where the surroundings themselves participate in the healing process. On a deeper level, the merging of nature and science invites a new philosophy of health, one that moves beyond the idea of fixing what is broken, toward sustaining what is whole. Preventive medicine, guided by knowledge of genetics, lifestyle, and environment, will become the cornerstone of care. Instead of waiting for illness to appear, medicine will focus on maintaining balance, using data and awareness to keep systems aligned before they fall into disorder. The ancient idea of harmony, once spoken in the language of herbs and rituals, will return through the vocabulary of molecular pathways and precision medicine. The form may change, but the essence remains: to live in rhythm with the forces that sustain life. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and regenerative therapies will all continue to evolve, but even as they do, they will find guidance in the principles of the natural world. Machine learning may help identify new plant-based compounds. Synthetic biology may recreate natural molecules with perfect precision. The distinction between what is born of nature and what is built by science will blur, replaced by the shared goal of understanding life's design and supporting its continuity. The technologies of the future will not seek to dominate biology, but to cooperate with it, to act as extensions of the same intelligence that has shaped every leaf, every heartbeat, every breath since the beginning of time. And perhaps the most transformative integration will be within the human mind itself. As science learns more about the biology of stress, emotion, and consciousness, it becomes clear that healing begins not only in the body, but in awareness. Practices that foster calm mindfulness, meditation, time in nature, are now understood to have measurable biological effects, reducing inflammation, balancing hormones, and strengthening immunity. The wisdom of these practices, once seen as spiritual, now aligns with the evidence of neuroscience and physiology. The future of healing will not separate these domains, but embrace them as one continuum, where mental peace and cellular repair are threads of the same fabric. As the world moves forward, the true measure of progress will not be how far biomedicine can reach into the machinery of life, but how gently it can do so. Healing, in its most complete form, requires both precision and reverence, the ability to act with knowledge and to listen with humility. The union of nature and science reminds humanity that life is not a problem to be solved, but a harmony to be maintained. Every discovery, every innovation, is part of an ongoing conversation with the living world, one that asks us to move wisely and to remember that every act of healing is also an act of belonging. As night settles over laboratories and forests alike, the same quiet pulse flows through both the heartbeat of life, continuing its endless rhythm. In that shared rhythm lies the future of medicine, not a triumph of one force over another, but a collaboration, a recognition that science and nature are not opposites but partners in the same great act of renewal. The future of healing will not be found solely in glass and steel, nor solely in soil and sunlight, but in the space between them, the space where knowledge meets wonder, and where the art of life itself continues its gentle, eternal work of repair. 20. Conclusion. The symphony of life and medicine. In the quiet unfolding of existence, there is a rhythm that binds all things, the pulse of life moving through time, the endless dance of growth, decay, and renewal. From the smallest cell dividing beneath a microscope to the vast sweep of stars across the night sky, every part of creation participates in this shared symphony. Biomedicine, in its deepest essence, is not separate from this rhythm. It is one of its many expressions. It is the human attempt to understand, to listen more closely to the music that life plays, and to learn how to guide it gently back into harmony when it falters. As the study of life's mechanisms and the art of healing converge, medicine becomes something larger than treatment. It becomes a conversation with existence itself. Through centuries of discovery, humankind has learned to see the body not as a collection of parts, but as an ecosystem of relationships. Each organ, tissue, and molecule in communication with the others, each movement in balance with the whole. Biomedicine has illuminated this interconnectedness, showing that to heal one aspect of the body is to touch them all. The nervous system speaks to the heart, the immune cells respond to emotion, the microbiome whispers to the mind. Every element participates in the same intricate design, each performing its role within the symphony of being. The task of medicine is to listen for when one instrument falls out of tune, and to help restore its melody without drowning out the others. The journey through this series, through cells and organs, through nanotechnology and genetics, through ethics and sleep, has traced the many ways that science repairs the human body. Yet beneath all the detail, the message remains constant. Healing is not only a biological process, but a reaffirmation of connection. Whether through a transplanted organ or a night of rest, through a molecule designed in a laboratory or a breath taken in a quiet forest, the act of healing brings life back into alignment with itself. It is the return to balance, the reawakening of the body's inherent wisdom. The progress of biomedicine over the past century has been astonishing. Diseases once untreatable are now managed or cured. Artificial hearts beat in rhythm with human ones. Gene therapies correct inherited errors that once defined generations of suffering. The boundaries between natural and synthetic, between human and machine, have grown porous, not in opposition but in union. Each advancement reflects a deeper truth that knowledge, when guided by compassion, becomes a form of care. Science, when joined with empathy, transforms from a tool of analysis into an instrument of harmony. And yet, even as technology reaches new heights, the essence of medicine remains profoundly human. It begins with touch, the hand that checks a pulse, the ear that listens to breath, the heart that recognizes another's pain. These gestures, simple yet sacred, form the foundation upon which every discovery stands. The machines that now assist us, the algorithms that predict disease, the therapies that rebuild tissue all exist to serve this same timeless purpose, to relieve suffering and restore life's natural rhythm. No progress, however advanced, can replace the quiet grace of care, given with understanding. The future of healing will continue to unfold along this path of integration. Nature and science will move closer together. Ethics will guide innovation, and medicine will become increasingly personal, not just in genetics, but in meaning. Each person will be seen not as a patient defined by illness, but as an individual carrying their own symphony of biology, memory, and emotion. Treatment will align with the rhythms of each body, restoring not only function, but harmony. Hospitals may begin to resemble sanctuaries, places where technology and tranquility coexist, where care is delivered with precision and gentleness alike. Biomedicine's greatest strength lies in its adaptability. Like the body it studies, it learns, grows, and repairs itself. It acknowledges its mistakes and evolves beyond them. The future will bring challenges, new diseases, ethical dilemmas, and questions about what it means to be human in an age of design and enhancement. Yet within each challenge lies the same guiding light, the pursuit of balance. Healing has never been about control. It has always been about restoration. The physician, the researcher, and the patient all participate in this same act: to listen, to understand, and to bring life back into equilibrium. In many ways, biomedicine reflects the structure of the body it serves. It has its own circulatory flow, ideas traveling between disciplines, discoveries, nourishing new fields, innovations giving rise to yet deeper understanding. Like neurons in a brain, each branch of science connects to others, forming networks of insight that mirror the living systems they study. And at its heart, like the heart itself, lies rhythm, the steady beat of curiosity and care that keeps the entire field alive. When biomedicine listens to this rhythm, when it remembers that science and compassion must move together, it becomes more than a discipline. It becomes an art. This art of healing, grounded in knowledge yet guided by empathy, is what allows medicine to transcend its instruments. It is what turns laboratory findings into comfort, data into dignity, and diagnosis into hope. In every hospital ward and research center, in every whispered conversation between doctor and patient, this art endures. It is the reminder that science serves life, not the other way around. The laboratory may hold the tools, but the true power of medicine lives within the quiet courage of those who heal and those who seek to be healed. Perhaps the most profound realization of modern biomedicine is that healing is not a solitary event, but a collective one. The health of one person ripples outward through families, communities, and ecosystems. The bacteria in our bodies, the air we breathe, the water that sustains us all are part of the same living network. To heal an individual is to participate in the healing of the world. The future of medicine, therefore, is also the future of coexistence. It asks humanity to see itself not as separate from nature, but as one of its expressions, to treat the earth with the same gentleness we bring to the human body, and in doing so, to sustain the rhythm that supports us all. As the story of biomedicine continues, it will not be written in laboratories alone. It will be written in quiet recovery rooms, in rural clinics, in the spaces where care meets need. It will be written in the faces of those who heal and those who are healed. Every life restored, every pain eased, every discovery shared adds another note to the ongoing symphony of medicine. And just as no instrument can play alone, no form of healing stands apart from the rest. Biology, technology, compassion, and nature must continue to play together, each contributing its voice to the music of survival. In the stillness of night, when machines rest and hearts continue their patient work, biomedicine remains, awake not in the mechanical hum of laboratories, but in the quiet persistence of life itself. Cells renew, wounds close, minds dream, and the body remembers how to find its own balance. It is here, in the invisible harmony between biology and being, that the true essence of healing resides. Science may illuminate it, but it has always been there, the natural rhythm of recovery that every living thing carries within. And so, the symphony continues soft, unending, and beautifully human. Each breath joins the rhythm of the world. Each heartbeat answers the music of the stars. Biomedicine listens, learns, and plays its part not as conductor, but as participant in this great, timeless song of life. Through understanding, through care, through the gentle union of knowledge and compassion, it ensures that the melody endures, the melody of healing, of wholeness, of life itself continuing quietly and forever.